go. After 27 rounds we have gone. We are here at finals footy. This is the crunch of it all. We are ready to rock and roll for the biggest part of the season, where in just about a month's time, we're going to see the winners of 2025, which has been an incredible season, an absolutely fantastic season across all points, especially with the Titans avoiding the spoon. How good was that? But hey guys, how you going? Today on BKR Sport, we do have the Melbourne Storm taking on the Canterbury Bulldogs down there in Melbourne, which we actually got to see a couple of weeks ago. These two teams did play where Melbourne did come out as the victors in that one, but it was a close, but it was a bit of a weird game where it was close. But I did think the Storm were the better team overall because of their defense, right? And that's what's going to be really important to today's game, because both these two teams are the two best defensive teams in the competition. So you wouldn't be expecting a great deal of points here. However, we did see that score be 20-14 to the Melbourne Storm, despite the fact the Bulldogs had all the possession. They really were dominating in regards to having the ball. The Storm were just able to hold them out, and look, it was an impressive win there for the Storm. And look, it also showed with the Dogs that they're able to, compete in these games, which I feel like a lot of people do doubt for them when they're in the against the top 8 teams, right? They do absolutely doubt them. They don't exactly have a fantastic record overall against teams in the top 8 this year, which is providing a lot of people questions with the Bulldogs going forward. But obviously, they made it last year. That was their first year in the finals in quite a while. Obviously, they won a wooden spoon in 2021 and just avoided it in 2020. So, it's been a great turnaround for Canterbury, whilst obviously Melbourne just always are here. They're just absolutely always here. If they're not in the top 4, they're in the top 5, man. This team is just always highly, highly competitive, and people talk about New Zealand having this aura about it, how it's one of the most difficult away trips to go to for opposition teams. And I think that that's firstly completely a bit of a facade, because the Warriors actually don't win as much in New Zealand as you would be led to believe. But I don't understand why the Storm at AAMI Park aren't just simply the one you don't want to play. I don't care who it is. I don't even care if it's Penrith in Penrith. I would say that Melbourne at AAMI Park in a finals game is by far the place you do not want to go. It is just simply the place you do not want to go. Now, go Warriors and prove us, well, not even necessarily prove us wrong, but prove me wrong for tomorrow and go and win that game in New Zealand against the Panthers. A great team to do it to beat their the 4-time premiers in a row, and to end their, not necessarily end their dynasty, but end the streak specifically. But for the time being, this is just the place you don't want to go to. Melbourne Storm in Melbourne, Friday night footy. They ended up coming second on the table. As per usual, this team is just always an absolute belter. So, look, the way we're going to do this, guys, as you know, we stream every single game. So we're going to be here for all 4 games this weekend. Now, tonight we do have the Melbourne Storm against the Canterbury Bulldogs at AAMI Park in Melbourne. Tomorrow, we have 2 knockout games. Actually, I should clarify here for people who may not be aware. So this game tonight, the team who loses will not be eliminated. They are not gone. It is a double chance game. So the top 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The Titans, the Storm, the Bulldogs, and the Broncos. They all have a double chance this weekend, where if you do lose, it means you will play the winner of the elimination games that are actually both tomorrow. You will play the winner of those games to go through the preliminary final and then the grand final. If you win this game, you get next week off. You have a bye round and you come back as the home team in the preliminary final. So you get a whole skipped week. And that's what this game is tonight. So whoever loses is not gone, even though I guarantee you whoever loses, pretty much everyone on social media, pretty much everywhere, specifically on Instagram and whatnot, will say that the loser is gone, which isn't necessarily true. We actually saw, I think it was 2022? Was it 2022 where the Panthers, and I tipped it actually, I tipped the Rabbitohs to beat the Panthers in that first week, and then the Panthers actually go on to beat the Rabbitohs in the grand final. But I think that was 2022. Let's go back here to week 1. No, it wasn't 2022. It must have been 2021. Sorry. Must have been 2021. Yeah, it was 2021. Where the Panthers end up losing 16-10 to the Rabbitohs. And then obviously in the grand final did beat them 14-12. Right? So you can lose that first week. And look, everyone will say, the Storm are gone, or the Bulldogs are gone. I think there's probably a lot more merit to if the Bulldogs were to lose this, to that kind of discussion, to that argument that they are, but obviously they're not, because they'll still get a chance against one of those bottom 4 teams of the top 8 next week regardless. But point of the matter is, guys, no matter who loses tonight, they're not eliminated for the season. And then obviously tomorrow we have the 2 elimination games. Whoever loses these 2 games here are gone, and they are joining everybody else in Bali. Actually, maybe not be the best destination right now, and America's not the best destination. So I'd probably suggest maybe, you know what? I reckon instead of Bali this year, I think it's time you just go to Fiji, mate. Go to Fiji, enjoy the beautiful ocean of Fiji. But tomorrow we got the New Zealand Warriors. They are at home at Go Media Stadium in Auckland against the Penrith Panthers, who have won 4 premierships in a row. Have been a little bit shaky this year, but it would be miraculous for them to go and win 5 premierships in a row when they were last halfway through the season. Like it was, well, not halfway, but a good 10, 11 rounds into the season, the Panthers were sitting in last and have rocketed up. So, the Warriors have a chance to remove the 5 times in a row champions. That'll be an awesome game to watch. We'll be live an hour before that as well. We are live an hour before this game here tonight as well. And then we've got the Sharks versus the Roosters. Now, this is a really, really difficult game to predict. And I will actually mention, I've got a bit of a gut feeling the Warriors actually get an upset in that game tomorrow. I do have a bit of a gut feeling. Don't sue me. Don't sue me. It's just an opinion. But then the Sharks and the Roosters, this is a really difficult game to predict because the Roosters, they know what it takes to be here. This is at Sharky Stadium, Sharky Park on a Saturday night. In the finals, the Sharks have not won a home final at Shark Park since 2008. Since 2008, the Titans have won a final. They've only won one final in their history, the Gold Coast Titans. They have won a final since the last time the Sharks won a home game in the finals at Sharky Park. So it's going to be an interesting battle there. The Sharks, obviously, they actually are the underdogs, funnily enough, which I'm surprised with. The 8th place team is favourites over the 5th place team. I actually probably am going to tip the Sharks there, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's a belter. So whoever loses out of those 4 teams, there's 2 of them will get knocked out. And then on Sunday, we have the Canberra Raiders taking on the Brisbane Broncos, 1st versus 4th. That is another double chancer where whoever wins goes through the preliminary final. Whoever loses will go to next week. And they will actually already know who they're playing. So the loser of tonight won't know who they're playing just yet. I'm not even too sure. Actually, who is it? What side of the draw are they on, Storm and Bulldogs? Are they on the side of the Warriors and Panthers, or are they on the side of the Sharks or the Roosters? Please let me know in chat. I have actually thought about this. Which side of the finals are they on? I think the Storm Bulldogs are on the side of Sharks Roosters, maybe. I think they are because I'm actually not too sure. I feel like the Storm Bulldogs are on the side of the Sharks Roosters because I feel like they were talking about the fact that the Panthers have the easier run home to the grand final of the 2 sides of the draw, and they've got Raiders and Broncos, and then the loser of tonight, I guess. I feel like that must be the case because Sharks, no, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Please let me know in the chat what the answer to that is. But that's the games we're doing this weekend, guys. So obviously we'll be live for all of it. But let's get into our discussion for tonight's game, which, look, I'm looking forward to, man. I'm really, really looking forward to it, mate. This is going to be an absolute belter. So hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. We want to try and get to 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're about 3,000 subscribers or so away from that now. I reckon we can absolutely do it, especially with internationals coming up. We've got the finals right now. We've also got our postseason reviews, which were meant to start this week. But if you guys joined my night stream, there was a lot of mess up with it. So expect those starting on Monday. We'll do 2 a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then also I think on Friday, no, there is a Friday game. Yeah, and then it will start on Sunday again. The point is, they'll come out next week because the schmozzle was on. It was an absolute schmozzle this week. But all right, the Melbourne Storm, they come to this game from 2nd position. The Canterbury Bulldogs come to this game from 3rd position. And this is at Amy Park in Melbourne. Now the ins here for the Melbourne Storm: Harry Grant, Jack Howarth, Jonah Pezzett, and Stefano Utuikamanu. The outs are Jerome Hughes, Marion Seve, Nelson Asafa-Solomona, and Ryan Little Mullet Man Pappenhausen. Little Mullet Puppy is gone. 2 massive outs there of Jerome Hughes and Little Mullet Puppy, Ryan Pappenhausen. Seve has been solid, but Nelson Asafa-Solomona, look, I think that, yes, sure, he's got a big name to him, and he is a big bopper, but I do think that his form this season and recently has definitely dropped off a lot, which is why you're seeing the Melbourne Storm do look elsewhere with him and saying that he can, look elsewhere, I believe. So I don't think that's as big of an out as the name does suggest, but with that being said, you do want as many of your strong talents in the game. You do want as many of your starting players and your full 17 as you can. That still isn't out there. So Harry Grant is an incredible inclusion. So is Utuikamanu, not to that same caliber, but Harry Grant is their attack. And we've seen that in recent weeks. Obviously, the Melbourne Storm in the last couple of weeks have lost to the Broncos. They have lost to the Roosters, right? 40-10 and 30-14. The thing is with the Melbourne Storm is that everyone looks at Jerome Hughes and also Ryan Pappenhausen, which are 2 key spine members. And Jerome Hughes is an incredible incredible inclusion here for the Storm. Well, he's excluded from tonight, but he is an incredible player for the Melbourne Storm. But I feel like their attack really does derive from Harry Grant. We saw, even with Jerome Hughes out, that Harry Grant really was getting some good momentum for the Storm, and he still was able to take them on his own back and beat a full-strength Panthers team with that try and with a couple of tries in that game. He was absolutely incredible to watch, or try assist in that game, I should say. It was incredible to watch. And Harry Grant, for mine, is the key to this Melbourne Storm lineup. So if they lose tonight, I feel like he's had an off game. If they win tonight, I feel like he's going to be the man of the match, because that's just the kind of caliber style player that he is. Now, the fullback tonight is Nick Meaney, with the wingers being Will Warbrick and Xavier Coates. Centres of Grant Anderson, who's off to the Broncos next year, and Jack Howarth, who comes in from the 20 into the starting centres. 5'8", Cameron Munster, with the halfback being Jonah Pessett, who was originally meant to be the 14. Now he is the 7. The front row forwards are Stefano Utugamanu and Josh King. The number 9, Harry Grant, who is the captain. Back row of Joe Chan and Elias Katoa. Chan shifts from the centres to the back row. And then the 13 is Trent Loiero. Interchange of Tyron Wishart, who was originally meant to be the starting 7, is now on the 14, with Ativalu Lissati also shifting from the back row onto the bench. Alec McDonald and Tuikami Kamitha, with the 18th man of placement being Bronson Garlick and Craig Bellamy as the coach. I think the key thing here that Bulldogs fans should acknowledge is that you don't want to be coming in with too many changes to the finals. You want to be primed at this point. And that's an obvious thing to say, but you need to be primed at this point. You need to be just ready to roll at this point. And when you're having to change a centre in Nick Meaney, it is interesting, though, they've decided to not push Munster into the fullback, which they've done recently. Munster into the fullback, and then, have the halves pairing of Jonah Pez at 6 and Tyron Wishart 7. And keep Nick Meaney in the centres. That's kind of what they've done recently. But instead, Craig Bellamy has decided to put Nick Meaney back there. He's been a lot more safe with his selection, because I don't think that Munster was incredible in the fullback, even though he was originally a fullback many years ago. That was many years ago. The point is that I don't think he was incredible in the fullback, but they still were able to get the win because the Storm was still the Melbourne Storm. So I think this is the safe option here from Bellamy, where he has just kept his spine as intact as he possibly can. And I think that will go a long way for them. But the benefit to the Dogs is that the Storm have had to change their centre. They have obviously changed their front row with Nelson Solomona not being there on the bench now. They don't have their pure halfback in Jerome Hughes. And also they've gone with Jonah Pezet to start rather than Tyron Wishart there. And they have shifted, despite the fact Joe Chan does actually play a lot of back row, they have had to put him into the back row as well, with a couple of guys going to the bench. So overall, this Storm team is having to change, and you don't like that coming into a final series. You really don't. They have to. That's not the point. They absolutely have to do it with the injuries and with the outs, which were a kind of bit irrelevant last week of why they played their players. Why did you play Jerome Hughes? Why did you play Ryan Pappenhausen? The intention wasn't there. They didn't need to win. The Broncos needed to win. There was quite literally no point in them playing, especially with Jerome Hughes coming back from an injury, to then get played in that pressure cooker game for the opposition. It was a pressure game for them in the Brisbane Broncos, and they obviously came out on top in that game. So why they played Jerome Hughes coming back from an injury, sure, I understand the ideology of putting him in to get him warmed up for a game before the finals, but it was also such a severe risk, and that severe risk, unfortunately, did happen. That is what happened. He did get injured. So that was, look, it wasn't their best decision, in my personal opinion, but you can't predict injuries, and when they're fully healthy and fully fit, they're going to want to play. But the Storm coming to this game, like I said, last week did lose the Broncos 30-14 at Suncorp. I think there's a little bit of a facade about their last two games that people are overrating in regards to the Storm falling off and falling off a cliff, and it's dramatic that the Storm can't win the premiership now. I think that's a ridiculous statement. Last week, the Broncos clearly had an intention that they needed to win to come into the top 4, because otherwise the Sharks would be here. And I do think the Warriors would have beat Manly if they had the reason to go and beat Manly when they only lost by 1, despite the fact the Warriors did look awful. But the Broncos clearly, and we saw this across last week's games, the teams that needed to win, you could see the drive there compared to the teams that didn't need to win, and you just couldn't see that drive there. And at points, you did see Munster trying to fire the guys up and to get them going, and they still scored 14 points. But there was a very clear divide between who wanted to win that game and who didn't care necessarily about winning that game, in my opinion, from that. So that's why the Broncos came over and honestly dominated them for the most part. Really controversial game, but at the end of the day, it was a lot more of a domination from the Broncos. So that game for me, I don't really look towards in the Storm had anything to play for, so I don't really care too much about that. And the week before, they had 8 players out. Harry Grant was out, Jerome Hughes was out. They had a whole bunch of outs. So it was like 8 of the Storm players who weren't playing, and they were actually still leading 10-0 in the first half there before the Roosters won the second half 40-0. So they won 40-10. So with 8 players out, that doesn't give me a great read about what the Melbourne Storm are and where the Melbourne Storm are at in general. So I look at those last 2 games and I go, okay, they were bad losses and they were big losses, but what's the context behind it? And the context behind it, for me, shows from the Stormers' perspective that there was excuses. You wouldn't like to see them get beaten as badly as they did against the Roosters, especially with the massive drop-off in the second half. And you wouldn't like to see them conceding 30 points to the Broncos when they do have the second best defense in the competition just behind the Canterbury Bulldogs. And it's actually just the last 2 games that have really hurt that for and against, right, in regards to defense. So they were actually above the Dogs after that Dogs game 3 weeks ago, and those last 2 games really hurt them with 70 points conceded in the last 2 games. But if you remove those 2 games where 8 players were out and then they didn't have to win at all. It was just a regular game where they were just getting some fitness realistically. They beat the Dogs 20-14 at home, which is a top 4 team who they're playing tonight. They beat the Panthers, who were a top 4 team at the time. Now, obviously, they dropped all the way down into 7th position. But the point is that they were a top 4 team at the time. They actually beat that Broncos team 22-2, which was, and the same excuses that I used for the Storm, in that Roosters game, I'll use for the Broncos here, where they actually did look quite up for this game. They lost the game by 20, the Broncos. But the Broncos did look quite up for it, but then Adam Reynolds got injured, Ezra Mam got injured, Selwyn Cobbo got injured, and the Broncos were just in tatters, and the Storm ran away with it in the end. But the Broncos did look well up for it until those 2 injuries happened. Even though the Storm, they obviously were probably still going to win that game, I think it would have been a lot closer. The point is, they still beat that team, though, who is a top 4 team. They beat the Eels 16-10, and we all saw the Eels form at the back end of the year. Their final game of the season, they scored 66 points. The Eels were very good in the back end of the year, except for that loss to the Rabbitohs. They also beat the Roosters 34-30, which is a big game. The Roosters were a top 8 team. They are a top 8 team. The biggest issue was their loss 18-16 to Manly down there in Melbourne. Manly was still in the hunt for the 8 at that time, and it looked likely they were going to make the 8, but they obviously fell off a cliff at the end of the year. And then you go back and they got a couple of easy wins against the Cowboys and the Knights, despite Origin outs in that Cowboys game. And then you've got that Sharks game where they won 30-6, which is, again, the 5th place team. So when the Storm take on the big opponents in games that matter, they go and win the game. In games that matter to them, with their full-strength team, they've gone and proved that they go on to win the game. So that should give a lot of confidence to the Storm there coming into this one. Now let's move over to the Canterbury Bulldogs. Their ins are Blake Wilson, Harry Hayes, Jacob Kiraz and Toby Sexton, with the outs being Bronson Xerri, Marcelo Montoya, Reid Marnie and Samuel Hughes. Couple of big outs here, couple of big ins as well. Toby Sexton was their halfback for the first part of the year before they decided to blow it all up, weirdly enough. It was a very strange decision from the Canterbury Bulldogs to drop guys like Reid Marnie and say he can go, and Toby Sexton, you can go. That's 2 players in their spine, their 7 and the 9. Very interesting. And then they obviously brought in Lachlan Galvin. Now, it's interesting today that Reid Marnie was actually dropped for Toby Sexton to come back into the lineup here at the... he's playing, obviously, as the 21 on his back, but he is on the bench, which is really intriguing, to be fair. It's really kind of odd for mine because I don't think that Reid Marnie is necessarily an impact player off the bench, but he does still provide a lot for this Bulldogs team overall, and he can be very ill-disciplined, but he has been one of the better hookers for a while now when he was at the Eels, and then maybe not his first year at the Dogs, but then he really warmed into his role at the Dogs. Now, obviously, they're going in a different direction. I just find it a very odd decision coming into this, but they have been kind of filtering him out throughout this back part of the season. So I understand that perspective, but to bring back Toby is really intriguing for mine. Great inclusion of Jacob Kiraz, and then it's also interesting that Blake Wilson's back onto the ins here. I know that he is the 18th man. He was originally meant to start in the 5 this week, but they've put Jacob Kiraz in. But overall, the biggest in there is Jacob Kiraz, and then interesting with Toby Sexton. Bronson Xerri is a big out because he is a huge player in the centres for them. And then also Marcelo Montoya, really tough hitter, really tough tackler, and I think he's been having a pretty good back into the season too. So a couple of big ins, a couple of big outs there for the Dogs. The fullback is kind of Tracy, with the wingers being Jethro, Runakama, and Jacob Kiraz moves in from the 23 to the starting wing. Centres of Anari Chuala and Stephen Crichton, who is the captain. Go to the 5'8", which is Matty Burton, and the halfback Lachlan Galvin. Front row forwards are Maxi King, and Josh Curran comes in to start in the front row. When he was originally meant to be on the bench. Bailey Hayward is the starting 9. The back row is Vili Bombili Viliami Kickout with the Jacob Preston alongside him, and then Jamin Salmon is the 13. Interchange of Kurt Mann, Setili Tupanua, Toby Sexton comes in for the 21 to the bench, and then Harry Hayes comes in for the 22 to the bench as well. Blake Wilson drops out from that number 5 on the wing to the 18th man, and Cameron Serraldo was the coach. So a couple of changes here for the Dogs as well. Not as significant as a Jerome Hughes and little one on the puppy Ryan Pappenhausen. Not as significant of a change, but still changes there that you don't necessarily like coming into it, but it's not like dramatic. It's not 2 of their spine players that are out for this game. It's just more so intriguing for the bench with how Toby Sexton plays as an impact role off of the bench there when he is a 7. We need to see Lachlan Galvin kind of get going here tonight. That's what the big thing is for mine. You know, I'm not going to sit here and hate on him like the NRL community does, and that is a fact. It just happens. You know, Lachlan Galvin has copped a lot of criticism this year. I will criticise his gameplay because I do think that him coming into the Dogs has been something that was a necessity for the future. I don't think it was a necessity for the time that he was implemented into the team. Obviously, they needed to rush to get him. They wanted to get him. They got him. And it is more of a solid long-term option than Toby Sexton, per se, in their beliefs. So I think that they did the right thing in regards to getting Galvin for the future, but I don't think the right thing to do was, whilst you're in first position, to adjust that 7 and to just throw Lachlan Galvin in, where his form has not been great. I don't even think Bulldogs fans who love Lachlan Galvin, and I want you to back him as hard as you can because he is your boy, I don't think you can even defend the form that we've seen from Lachlan Galvin so far this season at the Canterbury Bulldogs, and it has been a big distraction. So I really need to see him getting this Bulldogs team going today, and overall this Bulldogs team should still have the calibre to go and compete here. However, as I have said, they have struggled against top 8 teams this year. You know, if we go back to the start of the year, their opening couple of games were against the Dragons, the Titans, the Eels. Kind of no hope of teams there, and then they went and beat the Sharks 20-6, which was kind of their first real telling point that the Dogs were going to be a very solid team this year, regardless of the fact that, you know, who cares, they beat the Dragons, the Titans, and the Eels. But then when they beat the Sharks, and convincingly, sorry, I'm gonna have a drink of water here, one moment. They beat the Sharks and convincingly 20-6, and it was a domination. You know, the Sharks had no chance in that game, and the Sharks had problems, but it was a real telling point. So they went and beat a team that has finished in the top 5 this year in the Cronulla Sharks, even though it's been a struggle year for them. And then they went and lost to the Broncos, though. That was a huge issue. That was their first loss of the season. They lost 42-18. They were down like 32-0 at halftime. That was a crazy, crazy turnaround. And then you go 2 weeks later and they beat the Raiders 32-20. They were down 20-0. So the first half still happened, but the second half definitely happened too, where they came back and won 32-20. So that was a huge result. But overall, for the most part, they haven't exactly gone too greatly against top 8. Roosters at the time were not top 8. They were in the bottom 4 at this time when they beat them 24-20. They have ended up being in 8th position, but that was a very different time of the season. Maybe that could be excuses though, but they lost the Panthers. They lost the Broncos again. They did go and beat the Wires, but then they lost the Roosters and they lost the Storm. And the Panthers game means jack shit because the Panthers had 16 of their 17 players out where they won 28-4. It still wasn't exactly super convincing in that game too. And then they went and lost last week 24-6 to the Sharks. Now with the Sharks, they didn't have anything to play for. The Bulldogs didn't have anything to play for. But the Sharks clearly came in with the intention to get a move on into the finals and won that game quite comprehensively. They won that game quite well. It was actually quite an easy one for them from the start. So there is absolutely concerns for them coming into this, but I do think there is a reason why they've come 3rd position. Their points differential, the against this year for the Bulldogs is 414, which is the best defense in the comp. The Storm this year have given up 459 points, which is the 2nd best defense in the comp. So that does separate them by about 45, roughly on 45 points against the Storm, which came in those last 2 weeks. And pretty much most of their points came. Well, the big results. They don't want to play the Broncos in this final series, that's for sure, because the Broncos had their number galore, deluxe, and I know that second game for the Bronx was when both teams had Origin players out, but I don't think they want to come against the Bronx. I don't know. There's just like a weird feeling around the Dogs where do they have what it takes when it comes to the crunch? Because they were able to kill it the first half of the season. The second half of the season was hit by distractions. They were still able to get results to keep them up here, and there were some games that were brilliant. There were some games that were awful. But do the Dogs have what it takes in the final series to get over the top of an experienced team like the Melbourne Storm here at AAMI Park? And I'm going to bet against them. I'm going to say the Storm do it because I think the Storm should, at AAMI Park in Melbourne, regardless of their players out, I still think this Storm team has what it takes to win this game and win this game by about maybe 6 to 10 points. It just comes down to who's got the better defense. I don't think this game comes down necessarily to attack. Obviously, you need good attack to beat the best defense, but I don't think you're going to see a high-scoring slogfest of points where it's like 36 to 30 like that Dolphins-Titans game. You're going to see a game here, I would assume, of like a 14 to 10 standard or an 18 to 14 kind of standard. That's still quite high for these two teams. They did play, like I said a couple of weeks ago, when it was 20 to 14 or whatever it was, so that's not exactly a high-scoring game. That's what I would kind of more so expect overall. So I will take the Storm here 1 to 12. I don't think you should see any 13 pluses this week. The only one likely would be that Panthers and Warriors game, but I still think it's unlikely because I do have a bit of a gut feeling about the Wars. The only way I could see a 13 plus this week would more so be, I actually don't think Sharks Roosters have a 13 plus, despite the fact I can see points in that game from both teams. I would more lean towards the Sharks 13 plus than the Roosters 13 plus. So maybe I don't see a Raiders 13 plus over Broncos. I am tipping the Raiders there, but I could see a world if the Raiders aren't clicking and they aren't on, the Broncos attack can flow quite well. So I could see a world where that happens, but that would just throw a cat amongst the pigeons, man, and everyone would be like, the Raiders are screwed. And it's like, would you necessarily be wrong if they went and lost at home first week of finals? Canberra 13 plus the Broncos. So I don't think there's a great deal of 13 pluses this week. It shouldn't be in the finals, and this season has been so incredible in close games and upsets and whatnot that anything can happen. So I'm not going to completely go, balls to the wall there and say any 13 pluses. But look, Storm defense 459, Bulldogs defense 414. The biggest difference here, though, is the attack. The Storm have scored 671 points this year, which is the second best attacking team in the comp. The best attacking team in the comp was the Broncos, which was very fluctuating. They scored bulk points at times, scored barely any points at times. When their attack is on, they're on. When the attack is off, they're very, very off. But the Broncos were clearly they had the best attack in the comp, 680. That's 9 points better than the Storm. But that's 9 points. The Storm of the Dogs was 671 to 534 for the Dogs. That is 150 odd points that separates these two teams on attack, which is crazy. So the Bulldogs are behind the Raiders for attack, the Storm, the Broncos, the Sharks. They're close to the Warriors who had their attack problems this year. They're behind the Panthers, behind the Roosters by a long way. Sorry, my bad. Storm are actually the third best attacking team. Broncos second best attacking team. Dolphins were the best attacking team at 721. Don't know why I forgot about that. So they're currently down there in 7th. Then you go to 8th, sorry. And then you go to Manly, who had scored more points. That's another one. That's 8. They were behind the Cowboys for points. That's 9. And the Dogs only scored 14 more points than the 16th place Gold Coast Titans this year. They only scored 14 more points than the 16th place Gold Coast Titans this year, with Titans scoring 520, the Dogs scoring 534. Obviously, the defense is separated there by a good 300 points there, which should tell you a lot about the Gold Coast Titans. But their attack wasn't too bad. So the point is that this Dogs team's attack is definitely a concern. And it has come from the distraction halfway through the season. But that's why we'll definitely live with the Storm tonight. But there you go. There's my preview for the game. The game starts in about half an hour's time. So that's why we started up early, because I knew I had a lot to talk about. We'll do that for pretty much every game in the finals. So obviously hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe. Let's get into the chat. Let's see what you are saying. Let's fire it on up here for a big night. The chat, there is so much to go through. Gee whiz. Wow, Jeez. Well, luckily we started up half an hour before, because I have got a lot of catching up to do here. Dear me. Olivia Reed. Oh, she's back. With the $8 reduction. Gee whiz. The $8.02 donation says, happy Friday, everyone. I'm a Storm fan today. Yeah, off a massive win last week. Cracked it on. Now we're on for a big final series, a big 4-game finals here. And then we've got 2 games next week, 2 games the week after, and then we'll have 3 games the week after because we will have the Host Plus Cup versus New South Wales Cup. We'll also have the women's game, and then we'll definitely have the men's game. So that'll be a massive game. But a Storm fan today. So I just want to quickly see. Thank you for your donation, Olivia. I want to see when people answered. About who this side of the draw is against. Who? Yeah. What? Sorry, I saw it. Yeah, I saw that comment about Charlie. Who do they have on this side of the draw? Can someone please jump in the chat now and let me know who this side of the draw is against in the Storm and the Dogs? Who do they play next week? Is it the winner of the Roosters Sharks, or is it the winner of the other game, which is the Warriors versus the Panthers? I'll come back to that in a second. I'll just read this other donation out here first. Jimmy Ma with the $8 donation says, always a sad part of the year with the NRL coming to a close. Now it's a wait till next year. Thanks for the commentary. You do a great job, Blaze. Appreciate you, Jimmy Ma. Well, we've still got a whole final series to come here, man. And then we've got the internationals. So it's not the end of it, man. It's not the end of the season just yet. We'll keep our, we'll talk about that. The end of the year once the NRL goes, we do have those internationals. That's when you can start thinking, oh shit, okay, we do actually have the end of the year. But the Ashes, mate, the Ashes are firing up, Jimmy. But I appreciate you for supporting the channel. And then I did see Scott James say Warriors Panthers. So whoever loses this game, here today. Whoever loses this game will play Warriors Panthers, is what someone in the chat has said there. Let's move back up here. Nick Hill, so I was looking forward to a solid build-up on BKR. Hit the likes. Yeah, get around it. Well, I did a solid build-up, mate. That was half an hour worth of build-up. Sean James, get around your champion. Josie Parr says it's been raining here in Melbourne. Yeah, I'm here obviously in Vietnam again. I was in Malaysia last week, but no, it's raining again a little bit here. A little bit of rain, but only usually in the nights. Macca says Titans beat the Broncos by 40 this weekend. Oh, we know it's happening, Macca. We know it's happening. Ben says, that's right. This match is a qualifying final, which means if one of these teams lose, they will have another chance next week where they'll play against the winning team in an elimination final. Yeah, thank you, Ben. No, that's really intellectual stuff there. We really appreciate you for your knowledge here, Ben. I was actually trying to figure out if this was... you and Muppet. Jimmy Ma says, come on, Panthers, beat the first team to win out of the 4. No, thank you, Jimmy Ma. I'm going to put my hand up and say, no. No, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to say no, thank you to that one. Yeah. Colin says, Warriors Grand Final. I don't even think you believe that. Casey says, just seen someone's prediction. It was Dogs versus Panthers Grand Final, and Dogs win. Yeah, were you talking to Daz, mate? Was that who you were talking to? Is that who you're talking to? I feel like you were talking to Daz, mate. Benny West says, Bulldogs need to score first to set the cat amongst the Pigeons. I agree with you, Benny. I agree with you 100%. If the Storm score first here, I don't think it gets ugly, but it sets a precedent. It sets a foundation for the Storm to really kind of dominate this game from the lead. Because I think that when you have the best... and both these teams have the best defense. It's first versus second. So, remove that. But when you have the best defense, if you can just take a lead by 1, by 4, by 6, especially by 6, you can really just set that defensive structure foundation where you're in the lead. You don't really have to score. Obviously, you're going to still continue to try and score, but you're in the lead. You back your defense because your top 2 defense in the competition, your best defense in the competition, you straight up just back your defense. So if you get off to a strong start here with a 6-0 lead, or even if you get up to a 12-0 lead, I find it really difficult to see the team, whoever is down, to come back from that, just because the defensive structures of both these teams are so solid. Ben says, that ain't happening, although I would like to see it. Bretton says, get around the finals. Adam does, yeah. Olivia says, let's not. Yeah, we're not going to do that, man. Obviously, I have my... personal opinions and whatnot, and it was a very sad day yesterday, is what I'll say. It was a very, very, very sad day, but we're not going to go down that path, and we're just going to enjoy some rugby league and just enjoy some finals footy. That's what we're going to do. Colin said, no, we're not going to read that, and that's why we don't do that here. Ben says, guys, please, Sean says, Casey, I said that weeks ago was my grand final. Best thing about being bipolar is you can support two teams in a grand final. No, Sean, you cannot. No, that's Sean. Sean, Mr. Sean James. This is not what we're going to be doing here. That's not the best thing about being bipolar is you can support two teams in the grand final. No, that's not how it goes. How it goes, Sean, is that you don't really care who wins the grand final. If your team, and I know you're a Bulldogs fan, the Bulldogs are in it, then you go for the Bulldogs. But there's no, you can support two teams. And this is the thing I always say. Like, I have a soft spot for the Sharks, my mum. But when the Titans play them, I want to slap the living shit out of them like they slapped the living shit out of us this year. Like, I could not care less that they're my mum's team and I have a soft spot for them when the Titans are playing them. Screw the Sharks when that's the case. That side, that I back them in for her because I want to see her happy. But there's no supporting two teams. No. What do you think this is, mate? It's not a... What do you think this is? And Shannon says, let's go Storm. Olivia says, no, I'm too scared. Colin says, come on, Olivia, we know you got the tips. Well, I gave her the tip last week. Well, to be fair, she has been killing this year. But I smashed it last week. Shannon says, evening, folks. TI23 says, watch the Bulldogs surprise everyone tonight. Look, is it possible it's top 8 finals this year? Has been incredible. Could that happen? Sure. But I think my biggest surprise this week could actually come from that Warriors Panthers game. And I've been so off the Warriors for months and months. I don't know why. I just have this gut feeling like they're going to get it done. I don't know why, man. I don't know why. It could be completely off the Richter scale and the Panthers could absolutely whoop them, which, based on form, should happen. But I don't know why. I get a really odd feeling about it, man. I get a really odd feeling. Michael Paul says, let's go Dolphins. Yeah, no, the Dolphins are done and dusted, mate. They got absolutely slaughtered. Scott says, I hope Storm make the grand final. I'll give 10% and donate 5 membership. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, Scotty. Hopefully. Get around the old Storm. Olivia says, Dolphins aren't playing today, Michael. No, they're not playing today. They're also not playing for the rest of the season, Olivia. Yeah, no, the Dolphins, they're done and dusted, Olivia. You know, they're gone. They're gone. Colin says, Dolphins final is as sure as Gafusi's hairline. Okay. Nikhil Storm were always dangerous. T says, I think Bellamy played them to get momentum for tonight's game, but it backfired, but depth is not bad. Yeah, I agree, T. I do understand the intention behind it. You know, I understand the perspective of what the Storm were doing. I will disagree with the risk. I personally would have done it. But I do understand the intention behind it, and there's no way that Craig Bellamy would have played these guys if they had a re-injury risk or re-injury scare that they were aware of. I think that they were fully believing these guys were fully healthy, able to get a roll on into the finals, and it just obviously backfired, as you said. So I agree with that. I personally probably wouldn't have done it with Jerome Hughes. I think that would have been, I still would have waited a week, because regardless, you got a double chance, right? You've got a game against the Dogs in a double chance with Jerome Hughes, so he would have gotten that kind of week warm-up. If you had a loss, he still gets that second week. If you had a won, then he'll get another week off in between. The point is that Jerome Hughes was just coming back from a decent stretch on the injury sidelines. That's why I probably wouldn't have done it. Olivia says, did anyone else read an article about Michael Innes potentially being the Dragons' assistant coach next year, or just me? No, I saw something about it. I have no idea. It's so difficult when you're international, guys, when you live, you know, overseas, basically, like I do, and it's so difficult to keep up with the day-to-day news, and that's why, you know, you can't keep up with the day-to-day of NBA if you're in Australia. Same thing in the Premier League. It's really difficult when you're international to actually, you know, really just keep up to date with literally everything. So things like that. I did see maybe something about it, but it is very difficult. Shannon says, yep, watched it early. Interesting. I thought he was going to be with Manly. Adam MMA says 30-6 Bulldogs win prediction. 30-6, Adam. 30-6, you reckon? 30-6. Well, I'm not going to denounce it, because the last time I denounced a prediction from Olivia, she ended up pretty much getting it. With that being said, like, I had every right to not believe the Broncos were going to win by 18 points last week, and they didn't. They didn't win by 18 points. They did win by 16 though, so close enough. Close enough. Sean says, cool, I thought you were getting a chopper on side of the footy. Ben says, do you see Galvin being sort of similar to Marnie, where he doesn't have a great first year of the Dogs, but then develop in the following years? Well, no one really should have been expecting Galvin to just immediately come into a team on the top of the table and then just absolutely crush it as a very, very young lad. Like, what is he, 19, 20 years old? Lachlan Galvin age. He is 20 years old. So no one really should have been expecting this young kid to just come in and kill it, and he obviously hasn't. But yeah, I do believe that it's a long-term future for Lachlan Galvin at the Bulldogs, and I feel like it is very harsh of a lot of people to severely criticise him to the gigantic standards that he's been held towards. That is society nowadays. Yes, they proved that, that everyone's got an opinion, and it's very strong in how they put it, and with this Galvin situation, everyone has made their voice heard. He definitely would hear it. He'll tell you that he doesn't look at social media. He'll tell you he ignores it. He definitely would hear it. That's a 1,000,000,000%. You cannot ignore this shit. Players all the time will tell you that they don't listen, they don't read, they ignore. I promise you they do. So it would be a very difficult year for him to adjust. But once you get through this year, I believe he'll start to fly in coming years for sure. Libby says, they aren't actually getting a helicopter. I was being sarcastic. Our board had a big dummy speak about the team bus being parked outside. We have to walk 100 metres into the stadium. No, 100 metres, Olivia? How will you survive? How will you do it? How will you do it? Brent says, did Dad's mate go to the game? I would assume he did, but then again, last week I said to you guys that he was there. He was actually over at the Sunnies game because he's a Gold Coast Suns fan. He flew to the Fremantle versus Suns AFL Finals Week 1, which the Suns won by 1 point, their first ever finals win in history. This is their first time in the finals in history. Incredible time. Suns play the Lions in Brisbane, I think, tomorrow. So he might be going up for that game. He might be here for this and then might go to that. I'm not too sure. But to get around the Sunnies, baby. Get around the Sunnies. TR23 says, yeah, Broncos demand the red carpet. Yeah, they do. Amos Terran says, Storm 1-12. Yeah, I like it. That's what I'm going with. Louis said, Madge doesn't care. He said he would drive the bus himself and park outside. Viz, it's good to see you calling the finals, brother. Viz, I'm here every single damn world game. You think I'm going to do the entire season? You think I'm going to do pretty much every single game throughout the entirety of this season and then not do the finals, son? You're off your rocker, Viz. But I am here and we are ready to go. Aspects of Storm 13 Plus calling it. Well, let's see. It'll be probably me not writing off the Bulldogs, but I would be pretty convinced the Dogs won't win the comp if they do lose this game 13 plus. I'll be pretty convinced that they don't even make the grand final if they lost this game 13 plus, because it would yet again prove they struggle against the big time opposition, because people can use that Roosters game early in the year when they won 24-20, but the Roosters were like second last at the time, right? They were second last or so when they did play. And then when they did play them, when the Roosters were in form, the Roosters did win that game quite comprehensively. So it would just further prove the narrative that the Bulldogs can't play against the big time teams. So if they lost 13 plus tonight, I personally would be, again, not writing them off, but I'd be saying it's a very minimal opportunity of them making the grand final, let alone getting to it. Bretton says, Ori's watching from his local KFC. Zinger box for the win. Don't talk to me about Dad's mate Zinger box. He still owes me one. Freeway says, mate, I'm asking you, please give me lock so I can eat this week. Please give me lock? Are you saying like a lock to win? Mate, we're in the finals. There's no lock and jack. There's no jack. You can ask the chat though, because I'm not going to be responsible if you do lose based off of that comment. But you just have to listen to what I say, man, and then you can take my opinion. Again, it's just my opinion. You can take my opinion, and then you can have your opinion, and then you piece it together, and then you can kind of figure out your lock from that. I would obviously lean towards an under today, but it is the finals. So there's no real guaranteed locks when you're having the best 8 teams in the competition playing each other. Tino Tender says, anyone know where to watch the game? Please don't say Sky. Well, Tino Tender, there's a good thing called Sky that you can watch it on. Or, if not Sky, you can watch it on Sky. And then if you're in Australia, you can watch it on KO. Yeah, Colin says KO. Yep, that's the one. Ronald says, no, there's only one S in Storm, lads. There is only one S in Storm. Tino Tender says, subscription needed on KO. I'm in New Zealand. That is correct, Tino Tender. Colin says, unless he's in New Zealand, then unlucky is. Ben says, I'm going with Storm 1-12. Maybe the final score will be something like 20-12. Yeah, well, that's pretty much similar to what the previous score was between these two teams. Seb Watson has said, freeway, Josh King, anytime try scorer, lock it in. Please don't listen to Seb Watson. But if it comes off now, you're going to scream, because that guy be paying dead set. No, he said, thank you, sir. No, Freeway's going to bet on Josh King anytime tonight. Seb Watson, you are either a hero or you are a villain. And I'm going to lean with a 99% chance that you are a villain, sir. You've just made that man eat noodles for the rest of his life, not just this week. Oh, no. Brent says Josh King for a double. You guys are idiots. You guys are stupid. Asbeck says, Dolphins, perfect example how attack isn't everything. Agree, Defense wins championships, man. Defense wins championships. Okay, there's been a lot of timeouts here. I'm also so far behind the chat. Still 15 minutes to go until the game does start, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Be live for every single finals game. Someone says, you asked, I gave you a name, we will see. We will see, Seb. We will see, but you might be an absolute demon. The last $1,600 have you lost your marbles? He has lost his marbles, but he's lost his marbles a long time ago, Seb Watson, especially when the Ashes come on. He's going to be a punish. He's going to be a punish to have to listen to during that Ashes series. Absolute punish. Jaden says, up the storm. Some Muppet has come in spamming saying the Panthers all the best are the best with the question mark. Well, no, they came 7th this year, so they're currently not the best right now. Jaden said it's going to be Storm versus Raiders grand final. That's a ballsy prediction, first versus second. Freeway says chat is trolling. Yeah, you got to deal with it, man. Mitchell said it's starting already. There's still half an hour until the game starts. Yep, there is there's 15 minutes to go until the game starts, buddy. 15 minutes to go. Don't you get silly. Well, you probably did say that about 15 minutes ago, but that's your problem. Shad says, what do you think of the late changes by the Dogs? Late changes by the Dogs? Let me go refresh to see. Well, unless he's just saying Kiraz into the wing and then Josh Curran onto the front row. Unless you're talking about Toby Sexton stuff. Well, probably just go back and watch my preview. You've still got 15 minutes. I did give about a good half an hour preview. Just skip through to the Bulldogs section. And I spoke my thoughts all about what that was, man. So unless there's changes that I haven't seen yet that have happened in the last 20 minutes, then I've got those changes that were original from yesterday. Ben said, "Oh no, Instilu, he's back. He's back. He's going to complain. You timed him out, Jay. He's going to complain." But he did put 2 S's in Storm. There's only 1 S in Storm. There's no plural. The Melbourne Storm are the Storm. The Storm. There's no storms. There's no plural. There's no multiple. There's just a one storm. It's a big storm. One storm. No plural. No. No plural. It's no plural. Jade says Storm 38-18. How about that? Oh, that's a lot of points. That's a lot of points for a game between the two best defensive teams in the comp. That's a lot of points. James says Storm 24, Bulldogs 18. Also quite a lot of points, but more realistic. It's more realistic, but it's still probably too many points. Daz is going to the Lions vs Suns all Queensland match, I think. How the hell would you know, Ben? You don't even know, Daz. I'm just assuming. But how the hell would you know? Tommy said, as a member for 43 months, get around here, Tommy. Manly not too good for you this year, Tommy. But at least they finished out on a high with a nice little field goal for Cheds last week. He says, right to Belmore. God bless Australia. God bless the city of Sydney. And God bless Belmore tonight. Because if the Bulldogs win this game, lads, if the Bulldogs win this game, God bless our beautiful country of Australia. Because it might cease to exist. And it will all start from Belmore. There'll be riots. There'll be riots. And when the riots finish, I tell you what, there'll be riots. Because it's scary times. It's scary times at Belmore. Because they riot the streets of Belmore after a round 12 win against damn well West Tigers or maybe even the Gold Coast damn well Titans. They think they won a comp in round 6. So can you imagine they win the first week of the finals here against the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne? God bless our country, man. God bless it. Wengi says, when are we going to see the match? When you get a job? Mr. Piacori says, I'm here to see the Bulldogs beat the Storm. I don't know why I hate the Storm. Well, pretty much everyone does, man. Pretty much everyone. I respect their success besides the fact that they kind of have set up the foundations of success from cheating. But I don't have really too much hate. People assume I have this deep, insightful hatred towards the Broncos. I don't even do that anymore. At the end of the day, I definitely have my criticism and I don't like them the most, but when you cover every game, man, I literally just say it how I see it. And if I see it this way, people are going to disagree with it. If I see it this way, people are going to disagree with it. So I don't care anymore. TR23 says, shit, yeah, right, Bulldogs, shit, yeah, okay. Oh, man, dearie me. Adam says, up the Dogs. Olivia says, life is a freeway. I want to ride it all night long. You want to ride freeway all night long? 23, you're a sick man. You're a sick man. Isaac says, can't use VPN and 9 Now to watch the game. Well, yeah, you technically could do that. Levi says, so what part of the world are you in now? I'm back in Ho Chi Minh. I'm back in Saigon in Vietnam, man. I just went to Malaysia to Kuala Lumpur for a week just to renew my visa, and then now I'm back here. But I'll probably be here for about another month or so before I head back to Fiji, see my mum for her birthday and my daughter for her birthday, and then also for a wedding in Sydney. So I'm actually going to be in Australia beginning of November, which will be the first time since end of January, which will be cool. So Bulldogs, please let me have a city to come back to, because it's actually south of Sydney where the wedding is. Please let me have a country to come back to if the Bulldogs do end up winning this competition. And if they do end up winning tonight, please, I beg you that I have a country to come back to. That's all I'm asking. Bulldogs fans. Levi says, so what part... Oh, I already read that comment. Dasma says, no, Daz is not going. Daz is broke. Perth robbed me. No, that would also make sense, Daz. But it didn't rob you because you had an incredible time. It would have robbed you if you ended up losing that game, which you were very close to losing that game. But you had an incredible time, Daz, and it was so good to see. So I always say, even if you spend a ridiculous amount of money, if the outcome comes and you have a fantastic time, then who gives a shit? Because you had a time of your life where your team won the first ever time in the finals. They're currently undefeated in history in finals, the Suns, because they've only played the one game. And no matter the money that was spent, you had a fantastic trip away. So that's what I would say. Ben said, I thought... No, you don't know, Jack. Breton says, Daz went to the Glebe Reds game. Daz will be at the Glebe Reds game, that's for sure. The old dirty Reds. Freeway says, I agree to the chat rules. I apologise. I don't even know what you've done. I don't know what you've done, but you've done something. Someone says, Turbo off to the Super League. Man, Lee washed. Turbo, is he? No. Is that what's been said? Tom Trbojevic news. Super League offered huge Tom Trbojevic transfer opportunity. Super League clubs have been informed that Tom Trbojevic is open to a move to the competition and in development. Well, something I'm open to. Oh, no, okay. Angus Crichton says the switch to rugby union is still on the table. Crichton, there's some news for you. Andrew Johns, the fan Tom Trbojevic exploring his options in England. So it hasn't happened. I was going to say, surely I would know. But then again, I haven't been able to see anything that wasn't that situation in America yesterday on any social media. It's just been obviously that. So if there's something that's happened in the last 24 hours, I'm not going to know nothing. Seb Watson says, that's right, Aspects, I don't like the Dogs fans for that reason. Van says, Aspects, you don't even like Daz? We don't even like you, Ben. Gee whiz. Dazmate says, the Dogs have never lost a finals game down in Melbourne. In fact, we have a 3-1 record in finals against the Storm, not including a grand final where we were robbed, put the house on us. Yeah, no, Daz, we will include the grand final between the Dogs and the Melbourne Storm, which was 11 years ago in 2014. We will include that, yeah. No, we will have to include that one, Dazmate. Oh my gosh, there's just so many timeouts that are happening. It's just, the chat's in meltdown, lads. The chat's gone into absolute meltdown. This is what happens when you get to the finals. Aspect says, I applied to McDonald's to pay for my KO. It's not hard to work. Yeah, I don't know why people don't realise that you can't show the game live due to broadcasting restrictions, but a lot of people, for some reason, don't. 8 minutes to go until the game starts, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. 8 minutes to go. 8 minutes to go. Let me just fix that chat. There we go. Royal Grand Majesty says, I'm pretty sure the Panthers are the most hated team in the comp. I disagree with you. I think that that's very nearsighted mind, where people dislike the Panthers based off of their success, and they want to see their team obviously have their moment, which is fair and valid. I don't think that people necessarily hate the Panthers for the Panthers. I think they hate how they're so successful, and it's not their team. So the same thing happens with the Storm, but then the Storm, there's a lot more validity to it because of the 2007 to 2010 area, or 2007, 2009 specifically, or 2006, whatever. Point is the salary cap situation. So there's a lot of point to the hate for them, but also their success. The same thing comes for the Roosters, where they're very successful, so people hate them because they're not them. And it will always happen to these successful clubs. The Broncos is a lot more of their hatred derives, and I'll get to Manly in a second, but a lot more of the hatred for the Broncos comes from the Origin rivalry, where before the Cowboys came in, or even when the Cowboys came in, before the Dolphins and the Titans came in, the Broncos were pretty much Queensland, right? So New South Wales hated Queensland, and then also hated the Broncos because of that. Broncos are a big city team and also were very successful in the 90s and the 2000s. So there's a lot of a mixture there to the Broncos, but I think the core hatred for the Broncos really does originally come from the Origin arena. And then Manly, their own breed. That obviously goes back a long time. That goes back many years. I don't think Manly are as hated as they once were. So I'm actually going to take them out of the situation. I think the older generation still have hatred for Manly. I don't think any of the newer generation have as much hatred for Manly because one, they haven't been as successful. Two, they're nowhere close to known as the Silvertails anymore. And three, they're not as grubby as they once were. They used to have a lot of grubby players. Even in the 2010s, the 2000s, there was a lot more grubby players there, more so the early 2010s. And then going back into the 1900s, they were known as a very grubby team. Nowadays, I wouldn't necessarily believe that. You know, the Trbojevic brothers aren't necessarily hated. Cherry Evans can be a knob in regards to the situation that happened 11 years ago, but the point is that it's not like a deep-seated hatred based off of the external factors. They just don't have a real bunch of hated guys there anymore, and they're not successful. So that's why Manly aren't necessarily at the top of the list anymore. But I guess that could be nearsighted as well. Aspect says, Turbo would toy with Super League players. Well, a couple of years ago would have. He's still crack on now, but he's not the same player anymore. Dasmate says, fun fact, there are 17 AFL clubs with a longer finals win drought than the Suns. Well, there isn't 17 because, you know, the mighty Catters, you know, they won last week, Daz, and also two other teams won, so not 17 champion. Monkey Muay Thai says, Bulldogs 20-10 win prediction. I think that's a ballsy call, but I don't think it's an awful call. Freeway says, how have you trained your face to talk so fast? I've never heard that one before. My face to talk so fast. No, it's just because I have a lot of things to get through. I talk to the chat. I commentate the game. I have my preview. I have a lot of things to talk about in regards to players, and then people have questions about other teams and other games and all this. And then we move to this and this and to that. If you think I talk fast now, you wait till the game starts. Curry says, Dog's going to get clapped. Fair enough. Sean James says, I know Carlton have been shit for a very, very long time. Yeah, no, they have been very shit for a very, very long time. Yeah, no, they have. Kay says, they got Luka Doncic for a hat trick. You're a muppet. Aspects, by the way, imagine playing finals. That's so overrated. I love being 15th. The bottom three gang's the best. Yeah, mate. That's exactly right, Aspects. You know, you get it. You know, that's the only place to be. You know, come on. You know, who wants to play finals? We're kicking back right now in Fiji, the Gold Coast Titans. You know, we're chilling in Fiji. Beautiful wave, beautiful beach, beautiful sun. You guys are running into each other. You know, what do you think you're doing? You're just hurting your bodies at this point. This is the thing. You get paid, and then you go to Fiji. That's what you got to think. That's what you got to think about. This is why the Titans don't make the finals every year. Because of that, they want to go and enjoy. Sean says, Silvertails, screw them. Older generation. But you're also Bulldogs fans, so you're definitely going to hate Manly. Curiata says, Melbourne 20 plus. Can see a world. Don't think so, though, on the basis that both these teams are the best defensive teams in the comp. And the last time the teams played, it was only a 6-point game. Storm 20-14 down there in Melbourne. And also, the fact is that 20 plus would basically just write the Dogs off the competition. And I just don't think it's going to happen. But can I see a world? Sure. Monkey Muay Thai says, is Storm the favourite based on betting? Absolutely. Absolutely, despite their outs, which shows you why... shows you their history and the confidence people have in them, regardless of them having Jerome Hughes and Ryan Pappenhausen out, little mullet man, they still are the favourites, and I think that's because Harry Grant comes in. If Harry Grant was still out, obviously he was suspended, if he was still out, the Bulldogs would be $1.30 favourites here. If Harry Grant was out alongside Jerome Hughes and alongside little mullet little puppy Ryan Pappenhausen, those three players out, the Dogs would be $1.30 favourites. Right now, I don't know because I'm in Vietnam, but I'm pretty certain the Storm would be about $1.60 favourites, I would assume. Music Kiwi says, why the Titans on a fraud alert at the top of the ladder? Because Music Kiwi, they haven't lost a game all season, mate. You know, we've got to start really using the noggin. You know, I've been trying to help you guys understand all season long. I get this question asked a lot, like, what are the Titans doing there? Well, that's just the ladder. You know, what do you want me to do about it? And the Titans haven't lost a game, so that's why they're not on fraud alert, mate. You know, they did win the last game of the season in absolutely superb form. You know, it just shows you. Like, go back to the last game. You know what? If the Titans aren't in first, then I'm assuredly assuming they lost their last game of the season. So I implore you to go. I think they played the Tigers. Yeah, no, they played the Tigers. Olivia said we're a serious channel. Very serious channel. Music Kiwi. Come on. You know, Olivia's trying to tell you. Kate says, hey, I'm not just a Muppet, I am the old Muppet. No, that would be Daz. Aspect says, I don't understand what a silver towel, what does it mean? Well, jump on Google, man. That's a long conversation. So jump on Google, type in why are Manly known as the silver towels, and or you can ask a Parramatta fan, because I'm sure they'll love to conversate with you about it. I'm sure they will. Ben says, Storm just need to remember not to pat Burton gently on the head this time. Yeah, that was a crazy penalty, dude. It was a crazy penalty that we did see in that game. But obviously it didn't turn the tables of the result, so it's funny that you still remember that. But I do remember that based off of you reminding me, which was a very harsh penalty. Seth Watson says, loser of this plays Panthers or Wires. Okay, so yeah, this is the easiest side of the draw, but again, you don't want to have to be the team. It's a bit of a pro and con here. You want to be the team to knock off the Panthers 4 years in a row, but you don't want to be the team to play the Panthers because it's an excruciatingly difficult match to win. It's like the pro is that you will be regarded as the heroes of the NRL, but the con is that it's super unlikely to actually get that win. And if you get knocked, like it's you don't want to play them. Despite their form, you just don't want to play them. So I feel for the Warriors, but if they win, they're the heroes of the competition. If they lose, it was expected. Brocky says, hello, get around you, Brocky. Buster says, I can't remember the last time the Titans lost. You know, Buster gets it. Buster absolutely gets it. Carolyn says, hello. Kuriata says, I was born in Penrith, but followed the Bronx since I was a pup. Why? Interesting choice there. Why? If you're born in Penrith, unless you moved up into Brisbane, or if you lived in Penrith your entire life, otherwise that's a obviously interesting decision. It's a very interesting decision. D says, go the mighty Storm, but does put an extra S on the end of it though. So unfortunately you'll be timed out because we do have rules here on this channel. And the rules are, there is only one S in Storm, no plural. We go over this all the time. I'm going to refresh this score. Oh, JC, you didn't even tell me. And I did it. You didn't even tell me, and I just went and damn well did it, mate. You know, we're a professional channel over here. We'll refresh the score before the game even starts. The Bulldogs are out in the field, and the Storm are coming out now, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Let us know who you think wins in the chat right now. We are 80 minutes away from seeing who gets into the preliminary finals for 2025. Whoever loses will play the winner of tomorrow's game between the Warriors and the Panthers. Carolyn says, come on, doggies. Brocky Sports says, Storm 1-12. Kevin Proctor, anytime try scorer. Yeah, Kevin Proctor, anytime try scorer is about as likely as Seb Watson's prediction of Josh King, anytime try scorer. But I guess at this point, I'm just kind of saying this so much that I'm going to commentary curse it. And Josh King's going to score a hat-trick today, you know? And Seb Watson's never going to let me live it down. I think that's the possibility here. Scott says, I'll be going to Vegas when the Titans go. I want to watch the Premiers. Yeah, of course. Well, we'll be playing in 2027. It's pretty much guaranteed at this point. Because we've pretty much seen every other team play. The only teams that haven't played yet are the Gold Coast Titans, the West Tigers, the Parramatta Eels, the Melbourne Storm, and I'm not including next year's teams, and also there's another team. There's another team that hasn't played, but because the Cowboys play next year, don't they? Yeah, it's Cowboys, Knights, and Bulldogs, Dragons. I'm trying to figure out that other fit team. We always get confusion with it. But then in 2027, there's also going to be the Perth Bears that come in. So, and also the Dolphins. Yeah, so the Dolphins, the Tigers, the Titans, the Storm, and the Eels are the only 5 teams outside of next year and the previous years that haven't played in Vegas yet. But all right, the Storm are going to kick this ball off here to the Dogs. They said it was sold out here. Doesn't look sold out. Doesn't look sold out up that top section. But the Storm kick it off for the Dogs at the 5. Lachlan Galvin. He grabs it, gives it to Max King, and Max King will get this ball to the 10 on first tackle. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Monkey Muay Thai says Josh King is about to have the game of his life. Well, Seb Watson had someone ask in the chat before. Dogs spread it left here. Viliami kick out. He gets this ball to the 25. That's 20 to 30. It's a great run for the Dogs early doors. Seb Watson had someone ask what a lock is for this game, like a guaranteed bet for this game, and he replied with Josh King anytime try scorer. So the guy's either going to be eating noodles or probably not even going to be eating noodles and just going to be enjoying a nice little fast of water for the next, probably the next week until the semi-finals get going. Bulldogs to the 45 and Matt Burton, he's just going to kick this ball down into the corner where it will be Xavier Coates. No, it's not. It's going to be Grant Anderson who brings it out to the 15. No, it's Nick Meaney. I'm a Muppet. Scott James says, speak out, the NRL going to make us play the Bears in Vegas, aren't they? No, I'm pretty certain we play the Dolphins, man. But, like, I disagree with that. Oh, no, there's an injury here to the Dogs. Oh no, Viliami Kikau, he's going to come off with a HIA here. That is a rough start here. He had a great run in that first set that really set the precedent and the foundations, but Viliami Kikau is down right now after making a tackle on Will Warbrick, and he just hits the elbow of Will Warbrick, and he's going to have to come off for a HIA. Please tell me he passes it, because otherwise he'd be out of next week's game. Well, if they won, they wouldn't have to play next week. Send him off. It's an accidental elbow in the tackle, you muppet. Seb Watson says, I want an apology when he scores. You know what? I will apologise if Josh King scores. But you know what, Seb Watson? If Josh King doesn't score, I want you to apologise to me and everybody else in the rest of this chat for wasting our time. Viliami Kikau is still down right now, guys. God bless this man. You know, I really hope that he gets up and is okay. This is bad. This is bad. He's like, it's something to do with his neck as well. I don't think he comes back here, lads. It's not looking pretty for Villy. It's not looking pretty for Villy. Benny West says Matt Guy was underrated. Sure, random, but sure. Olivia says he's been timed out for 24 hours, Seb. Akil says might just be a shot in the eye. Well, no, it doesn't look like that, because although it did look originally like it was just an elbow to the head, which might have been HIA, but he's like he's not moving his neck right now. He's going to stand up on his own. No, he's not yet. He's still down on his haunches. They're going to have to bring on Harry Hayes. They are bringing Harry Hayes onto the field. But this is a big loss here for the Bulldogs. Obviously, they're already without Marcelo Montoya, Reid Marnie, Bronson Seri. Can't even really include Marnie here because of the decision. But Bronson Seri and Marcelo Montoya, and now they are going to be without Viliami Kikau, who I don't think he comes back here. This is just way too long to be looking at him if it was something easy. Nathan, it's going to be hard if he's staying down. He's still down. It's just... Yeah, as like Warbrick's in the tackle, he's just moving his arms, and Villy's kind of behind him, and the elbow as Warbrick is bringing his arm back, it's just hit the temple area of Viliami Kikau, who is walking off here, but you can see that he is struggling badly. Very big worrying signs. I don't think Kikau comes back. Tasman says, well, the ref should accidentally send him off. Brenton says, man, I thought he had a noggin, could take a blow like that. Well, he's been hitting the temple there with a flush elbow from Warbrick, which is the problem. It's not like he's just been hitting the eye. I think he got hit right in the temple, which is very dangerous stuff. So Stefano Wutukamanu now, third tackle. Kickout's gone off the field. And they'll give it to Elias Katoa, and Katoa will be at the 40 with a good post-contact run there. Actually gets up about the 42, so he stole a couple of extra meters. And now Trent Loiero, they're just running through the Dogs at the moment with post-contact, and they'll get this ball to the 50. Yeah, Josh Curran looks like he's shifted over into that back row now, and he's done what... Yeah, I would say Josh Curran's actually shifted into the back row for Harry Hayes to come onto the front row. And now Connor Tracy brings his ball out to the 20 on first tackle. They really need to lock down this post-contact the Storm made in that first set. Like, the Dogs had a great opening set down that left-hand side with space, but the Storm were just going down the middle, and they were getting some good meters from it. Benny West says Terry Lamb needs to be in the dressing room. Good morale. What's with the random players we're bringing up right now, Benny? You brought up... you brought up an underrated player in who was it? I can't even remember who you said. Matt Geyer, and now you're talking about damn well Terry Lamb. Soon we're going to start talking about Andrew Eddinghausen for the Sharks tomorrow, or maybe even what was that winger's name? Luke Cavell. Luke Cavell, underrated player for the Sharks back in the day. But the Storm now will bring this ball to the 33 on first tackle. Want to see the Bulldogs lock down this post-contact. And decent meters again from Will Warbrick to the 42 on second tackle. Monkey Muay Thai will Storm win, looking pretty certain without kick out. Well, no. A back rower is a big loss, but Josh Curran's still a solid player. And 6 again here for the Storm. This is my issue with this opening 3 minutes, is that both these sets of the Storm have been really strong up the middle of the field. Harry Grant right outside, and Utukamanu will be at the 30 on second tackle. First attacking opportunity of the game for either of these teams. Harry Grant out the back. Here's Munster. Here, they're away. They're at the 13, third tackle. Great tackle from Connor Tracy. Otherwise, Joe Chan was over. They go quickly. They go right-hand side. Look at the speed from the Stormy today. They will score. Elias Katoa basically under the post. It's 4-0 with a kick to come. And you could see from the opening set of this game that the Storm were on. because they were getting the post contact, they were going straight up the middle, and they were just pushing it through. They got a 6 again, and that was way too easy. That was disgustingly easy here from the Storm. Eliesa Katoa has just strolled through the line. Like, they're cutting him open. And this run here from Joe Chan, was it? No, who was the one who got taken down on that run through? Who found that hole? It was Joe Chan. And then they just spread it right, and then Eliesa Katoa rolls straight through Matt Burton. And it's too easy for the Melbourne Storm to take a 4-0 lead. Saul says, tied at half. Or who do you think will be in the lead? Well, I did tip the Storm in this game. I will keep with the Storm at half time, and that's a good bonus there. But that was very easy for the Storm to score. Betty West says, I'm old, probably the oldest here. I need to reminisce. No, Jay Hayes is the oldest here. He actually he turned 183 last week. Yeah, happy birthday to Jay Hayes. Nikhil says, this guy scores tries way too easily. Well, he's very good. One of the best back rowers in the game. Obviously came across from the Waz and took, I think, about a year or so to get into it, and then he just bought into the Melbourne Storm, and now he's absolutely crushing it. He won the back row of the year last year, didn't he? Did he win back row of the year last year alongside... I can't remember who won the back rowers of the year last year in 2024. It might have been Eliesa Katoa and... Was it Liam Martin? No. Or was it It wasn't Ola Kawatu. I don't think it was Nikora. Definitely wasn't Dave. Oh, News and William a kick out here. In terms of concussion, it's a category 2. So it's not a potential concussion that automatically rules him out of the game and next week. But we're yet to learn the actual, the damage that kept him down. So the concussion wasn't the problem, which we obviously knew. They were grabbing at at the back of his neck, which was the issue. So 6-0 here to the Storm, 5 minutes into the game. Katoa won. Oh, Keon Kalamatangi, was it? Jasmine says it was Jacob Preston and kick out. That must have been the New South Wales Cup back rows of the year. So the Bulldogs will kick this off to the Storm at the 5, and Munster, he'll give it to Utukamanu, and Utukamanu gets his ball to the 10. Lockdown of this post contact, otherwise the Storm will actually win by as much as people are saying in the chat. And Storm now on second tackle to the 18. You can see a bit more ferocity about the defense. Nate J says Katoa always pays well for any time. I put him on every week. He's a gun. Mitchell says, Storm need Tarek Sims back. Thank you for the thought process, Mitchell. I'm going to disagree with you. And Harry Grant will get this ball to the 32 on 4 tackle. I can already hear Dogs coach preparing his losing speech at the press conference. 5th tackle now for the Storm at the 40. Better defensive set for the Dogs, that's for sure. Adrian says, Bulldogs 1-12. Well, they're going to need to do better than they have in this opening 6 minutes, that's for sure. Because that try was way too easy for Melbourne. Way too easy for a finals game as well. Bulldogs now at the 35. And we did say the team who scores first, not that they go on to win the game, but they're a very strong advantage on the basis that when you're the 2 best defensive teams of the comp, which are these 2 teams, to get that early advantage and that early lead, you can really back in your defensive structures, and then the pressure's obviously on the team on the other side who hasn't scored yet. But then if you score again, I just don't see a team coming back in this game from 12 plus points down with both teams being so good on defense. The Dogs keep kicking this ball on 4 tackle, which is very interesting. Burton Bomb, Nick Meaney grabs the ball at the 5, and he'll be taken down at the 5. Someone says, whoever had that siren kicked them out. Someone get a Vuvuzela, that's what I'm waiting for. Someone get a Vuvuzela. I do remember back in 2010, 2011, there was some idiots who tried to bring the Vuvuzelas into the NRL based off that South African World Cup, and luckily it got Australians just told them to eat a dick and shut up. So 4th tackle for the Storm at the 25. Dasman says, remember Penrith won their first comp by going the long way. All right, Daz. I did actually predict that too, mind you. I did predict that. Don't have the same predictions for the Dogs, though. But I did predict that at the time. That final series, I got every game right. That in 2021. I don't always get every game right, that's for sure. But 2021, I got every single game of the finals right, which was pretty cool. Inclusive of that Rabbitohs-Panthers loss. And I did say the Rabbitohs would beat the Panthers, and then they would go on to lose to the Panthers in the grand final. I did say that at the time. So the Dogs now, and you would probably be in it, Taz, to back that up. Best Sport Tippinosis Dogs keep kicking on the 4th. Yeah, I mentioned that. It's really odd that they're kicking on 4th. I don't really understand it, but Crichton nearly gets through. He'll be at the 45 on 4th tackle. Desmond says, you're lucky you're not hidden aspects. What did aspects say? He got timed out for a minute. Dogs really need Michael Leica right now. And the Storm, again on 4th tackle, will receive this ball from the Dogs. Why do they keep kicking this on 4th? I don't get it. First tackle for Melbourne at the 25. Oh, that's a big knock on though from Will Warbrick, and it's 0 tackle for the Dogs at the 30. Well, if you want to welcome a team back into the game, that's how you do it, Warbrick. But you have got the second best defense in the comp, so let's see you hold out right now. The Dogs had, that's going to be a penalty here to Canterbury at the 25. Now, the Bulldogs had 55% or so possession against the Storm about 3-4 weeks ago, and obviously lost that game 20-14. The Dogs seemingly were always down in the Storm end, but they were just constantly defending their line. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's a change here to this Bulldogs team today. It's going to be interesting to see if they can actually break through them. Because last time they had to really chase the game throughout the entirety of the game, despite the fact they had all the ball. So first tackle for the Dogs, 20 metres out. This is their first attack of the game. And now Harry Hayes will be 15 metres out. Bulldogs chant goes up in Melbourne. Bailey Hayward on 6 again. So Lachlan Galvin, Jacob Preston, and Preston's going to be 5 metres away. Can the Storm have better defence than what we saw from the Dogs on the first opportunity for the Storm? But Bailey Hayward, he'll go across to Salmon and Lachlan Galvin. Oh, it's a knock-on. It's a knock-on from the Dogs, and the Storm will get the ball to 15. Well, that's not a good sign, lads. That's not a good sign. You had a real strong opportunity to hit immediately back pretty much within 5 minutes, and then you knock the ball on second tackle after a 6 again as well. That's not great there from Josh Curran. Just a bad knock on, and Storm will get the ball here at the 18. Bretton says, why is the cowbell a Storm thing? I don't really know. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't really know. It doesn't really make sense, but they've always had it. With that being said, the Storm as a supporter base is a very intriguing supporter base to look at, because they have had a lot of the salary cap situation was actually funneled through one of their active supporter clubs, but also secondly, they had 3 different fan clubs in the stadium, like the front line, which what I used to do at the Titans. They had 3 different fan clubs, which was like the Super Cooper stand, there was another one, and there was another one, and they all hated each other. Like they were all derived from people disagreeing with each other, and then obviously it's it's a really weird situation in Melbourne. I don't know if they still have 3 active support areas. I think it might be just that one behind the post now, but any Storm fan can attest to this. But also, let me know if there's still 3 or if there's only 1 now. The cowbell is obviously done by the Storm guy, though, Storm man. Desmond says Frank Pritchard would never. And now we've had so many random players. We've had Frank Pritchard come up. We've had Michael Elisha come up. You know, we've had Terry Lamb get brought up. It's all over the shop today. Second tackle of the Dogs at the 25. Very, very good says attack has been garbage most of the season. Agree. Again, I said this with the Dogs. The Dogs have only scored 14 more points than the 16th place Titans this year. The Dogs scored 534 points. The Titans scored 520. And Warriors fans, I'm going to break your heart here. You had less points than the 16th place Titans this year. The Warriors, you scored 517 points. The Titans scored 520 points. And the Bulldogs scored 534. If you're getting compared to the damn well Gold Coast Titans, there's a problem on it. There's a problem. Because whilst the Titans can attack, it's in clumps. It's in clumps. So their defense is the problem. Not necessarily their attack, but it's also very much so in clumps. So if you're getting compared with a team in 16th that attacks in clumps, big issue there when you're a top 3 team plus also a top 6 team for the Wires. And got beaten by the attack of the Titans this year. And Storm are going to ball here at the 45 on the Dog side of the field. Harry Grant, 4 tackle. Now to Munster, he'll just run this ball to the 40 on 5th tackle. But it says Storm have fans. We'll see when they finally turn a shit. I agree with you. That's what I always say. Harry Grant, Josh King. And they go down the left-hand side. They've got numbers here. Oh, they kick it through. Okay, that was a bit of a schmozzle end. There was a bit of a panic there. Looked like they might have had space until they didn't. And Jethro Renakama will get crunched in a tackle. Absolutely crunched in a tackle by Grant Anderson. Good tackle. Benny West's Dogs already panicking. Sad but true. So the issue with the Dogs this year, second tackle at the 15, is a lot of people had faith that they had that learning experience of losing in that ripper of a game against Manly last year in week 1. And they had faith the Dogs were going to be able to go and do it further with what we saw last year. Oh, no, they've lost the ball, and Storm get the ball at 33. The issue is that this is them now going up. Like, Manly were a good team to go against at the time. and they still lost it in a knockout game. In this game, they're going up against the most experienced team in the NRL of all time. I don't think that's even an argument discussion. I think the Melbourne Storm are clearly the most experienced team, and they're doing it at Amy Park, and they're doing it after actually struggling against top 8 opposition pretty much all season long, and they lost a couple of weeks ago to the Melbourne Storm down here. So it's a really difficult pressure cooker. But next week, if they lose this game, next week will tell me. 1 second, 4th tackle here. Stephen Crichton's gone down here. God bless him. He's wobbly on that left-hand side of the field. We can't look at... Oh, no. Please tell me it's not a hammy. Please tell me it's not a hammy. Oh, no. He can't even run. He can't even jog. Storm go right-hand side. They went to the wrong side, in my opinion. They went to the wrong side. The Dogs are very lucky because if the Storm went left, that was a try. If the Storm went left, they get past him. But Crichton cannot walk right now. Absolutely, Nikhil was. Attack issue, Titans defensive issue. No, there's no debate about that. Titans the worst defensive team in the comp, but we're around the top 8 for attack. They were roughly about 9-10 for attack. Stephen Crichton's trying to walk this out. I really hope it's not a hammy, but he was grabbing at that hammy area. He's still on the field, though, so... I know, like, this is the thing. He's a warrior of a guy. Like, he's going to want to play here. Like, he's still kind of... Oh, again, 4 tackle kick here from the Dogs. But, again, Nick Meaney. Oh, so Viliami kick out has been cleared of eye socket damage and it's past his HIA. Oh, Will Warbrick has knocked the ball on again. Will Warbrick has knocked the ball on again. Bro, get a grip. Get a grip of the ball. That's 2 knock-ons that have put the Bulldogs right back on attack. I just hope that Crichton's not playing here for the sake of wanting to be there for the boys. I really hope this isn't bad because he has been wobbling. But again, another mistake here from Will Warbrick. That's 2 knock-ons already. So William Akiko, I believe, will come back if that's the case. Oh, it's just... And it's not a hammy, but he's just like really bent his leg back very awkwardly there, Crichton. Crichton is still in trouble though. He's on the field. I think he's just getting through it, but... No, see? He pulled up just then after the pass. Watch him. You can see right now he's feeling that leg. So Dogs here, 20 metres out, first tackle, and Max King, he'll be 15 metres away. This would be a good shot here, Dogs, if you can get this right. Bailey Hayward goes to Jamin Salmon. Salmon at the back now, Lachlan Galvin. Galvin to Josh Curran, and Curran is going to be 10 metres away on third tackle. Aspic says Warbrick is going to get spanked by Bellamy. Yep, pants down at half time, that's for sure. Jamin Salmon. Salmon at the back now to Galvin. Galvin, short ball to Jacob Preston, close to forward, but it's all right. Forward tackle, 5 metres out. Good defence on the Storm at the moment. Dogs not throwing a hell of a lot at them as we speak, though. Crichton, they kick it through. That's played at. That's Storm knock on. That's Dog 6 again. That's Dog 6 again, and Lachlan Galvin's on 0 tackle. Will get smacked in the tackle, 8 metres out. Well, you got plenty of opportunity here, Canterbury. Plenty of opportunity. Bailey Hayward out the back to Crichton and Max King. You can see that Crichton is not good at the moment. You can see something's gone wrong with his leg, but he's still on the field. 6 again here for Canterbury. 6 again. Bailey Hayward. Prime opportunity now, Canterbury. A set of precedent. Jamin Salmon, 8 metres away from the line. Galvin, you need to get this team moving right now. First tackle, Bailey Hayward to Galvin. Galvin to Jacob Preston. And Preston 5 metres out from the line. Second tackle. You have to really look towards that left-hand side, Dogs, because the right-hand side is going to be a bit limpy with Crichton. Here's a chance, Matt Burton! What a defensive tackle from Jonah Pezzett. He just saved an absolute try. Lachlan Galvin into the line. James Hammond 4 metres out. That was incredible defence from Jonah Pezzett. And it's a forward pass. Galvin, sort your shit out. Is that a forward pass there from Galvin? I cannot believe that Jonah Pezzett stopped that try from Matt Burton just then. They were done for numbers on the left-hand side. And Burton shifts inside, but Jonah Pezzett is able to get the tackle on Matt Burton. That is incredible defence. But Lachlan Galvin, forward pass there is disgraceful. That is really bad stuff. And this is something that I will put into the minds. Obviously, Toby Sexton is there on the bench today. Do you, if Galvin's having an awful game, which he hasn't had a good start here in this first 17 minutes, with the Bulldogs attacking opportunities, you'd be expecting better. Do you think about actually putting Galvin into a different position and putting Toby Sexton into the 7, or do you consider putting Galvin to the bench if he doesn't do well enough? What would you guys do in the chat? Let me know in the chat. Would you, if you were the coach, if Galvin doesn't perform in the first half at all, would you consider putting Galvin onto the bench for Toby Sexton to come to 7, or would you consider putting Sexton 7 and then Galvin to like a 13 or somewhere else? I don't know. And penalty of the Storm. Dogs, you're collapsing under the pressure. You're collapsing under the pressure right now, and I'm worried for Stephen Crichton because he's not running normal. He just said he's okay. You don't look okay though, Stephen. Jaden says, do you think Galvin is just not quite ready yet, or is he an industry plant? What the hell are you talking about, industry plant? You've been watching too much politics these last couple of days, mate. He's not an industry plant. Lachlan Galvin is just young, has had to face an entire society of NRL community, just absolutely rip him to shreds this year for a choice the Dogs made, but also a choice he made with the Tigers, and then people bit into what the Tigers fans were saying. And then he hasn't been able to really get into it. I think he needs the off-season, and that's why I wouldn't have... I still can't believe Crichton's on the field. He's very much in trouble, and the commentary's talking about it. Yet, on the mark. Look at him. He can't even run, dude. Stormy, you have to attack his side. Just continuously run it at Crichton. He's the one choosing to stay on right now. He's the one... You just have to keep running at him. I know it may suck to say, but this is sport. It's a professional sport. You keep running this side. Munster, he's at the 30. Now the 25 for tackle. Alphonse says, can Sexton be put in the field already? Harry Grant here with a good run. Harry Grant with a good run. He'll have to go down here at the 20. And it's fit tackle. Ali says, go the Doggies all the way from Papua New Guinea and Goroka. Get around in Papua New Guinea. So Jonah Pezzett fakes that one. Viliami Kikau is back on the field, by the way. Rush kick, and it's going to be a 7 tackle set here for the Dogs. Viliami Kikau, huge, comes back on the field and then forces that 7 tackle set. That was all on him just then. That was huge. Renakama spreads it quickly to Nari Tuala, and he'll get taken down 0 tackle at 33. Very, very good. So this is all in the coach that go out in straight sets. Well, not necessarily. Why do you say that? Like, what's the reasoning for that? 6 again for the Dogs. So first tackle at the 50. 20 minutes gone in the first half, guys. 20 minutes to go. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. So Stephen Crichton has finally come off the field, which honestly has needed to happen for the last 5 to 10 minutes. Just to clarify for people who might have just been tuning in, Stephen Crichton injured himself. That's not like a negative slander towards him. He injured himself. I would never say that about Crichton. I got him as the best center in the game when he's on. But Toby Sexton has actually come on here for Stephen Crichton. This would be a miraculous game for the Dogs to win this, with them now having to change a lot of the positions in the team. And now, how does Toby play? Where does Toby... Oh, no, he's knocked the ball on first tackle. Oh, they've played it on. Oh, we're going to have to check this. Well, Toby Sexton may have just scored a try. I'm pretty certain it's a no try, though. I'm pretty certain it's a no try. Otherwise, I'll be saying sexy Sexton all day. Adam G's gone to the bunker here. I couldn't celebrate it because I thought there was a blatant knock on. Here we go. So kick out. Will it hit Sexton's knee, hopefully? And... Oh, no, this might be a try. They're saying play on this stage. This is going to be a try. This is going to be a try for Toby Sexy Sexton. This is the luckiest try of all time. That is, by far, one, so undeserved, but also, two, the luckiest try of all time. It's come off of his knee there. He was trying to grab it with his hands. He doesn't touch it with his hands. It hits the knee, and it is a try. Sexy Sexton with a try, and it's about to be tied up here. It's about to be tied up here at 6-6. That is the luckiest try we've nearly ever seen, ever. No way. Oh, no way. He instantly came back and scored, Sexton. Yeah, it comes on. It's just so lucky that his hand doesn't get it, because it does hit his knee. Viliami Kikau with an offload, and this is literally his first touch of the ball. Like, that's literally his first touch of the ball. Toby Sexton comes back in the first grade and scores a lucky try. Good on him. No, happy for him, man. No, super happy for him. Like, again, the Dogs have done absolutely nothing on attack today, and that will come off the back of the most lucky deflection that you will ever see. But it's still a try. It'll be 6-6. Mitchell says, the definition of winners make their own luck. Exactly right. Winners win. Winners win. So Viliami Kikau comes back. So he goes to the back row. So Josh Curran, I would assume, goes back to the front row. And I just want to know where Toby Sexton plays, because Matt Burton is the 6, Lachlan Galvin is the 7. Are they going to maybe shift Sexton into like a... Like, is he playing centre for Crichton? No, because he's on the left-hand side. So where's Toby Sexton playing? Because he's on the left-hand side there. Is he playing left centre outside of Viliami Kikau? Or Burton at centre, Daz says. Maybe. But Burton was also, well, in the attack, just that he definitely wasn't. We'll see when the Dogs defend where Sexton's playing. Because on the attack, Burton was just clearly the 5'8". Says the Doggies are back. Nah, but they've been... Honestly, like, that's the luckiest try you're going to see. Because it was off the back of Viliami Kikau offloading it. It luckily hits the knee. And oh no. Dogs do get the ball in the in goal. And then take this ball to the 5. Jeez, that was really risky. Yeah, no, you wouldn't be saying Dogs are back just yet after that. Oh, there's a player down here, Joe Chan. Oh, he's bleeding. Oh, he's bleeding out of his mouth here. God bless him. God bless him. Probably Burton Centre. Well, that's what you'd be assuming, Blake, but he looked on the attack like he was just attacking from the 5'8 still. Because Toby Sexton was just out in that left centre when he scored because he was on the left-hand side of Viliami Kikau, who's the back rower there. Maya says the only try Bulldogs will get score. Well, based off of their attack tonight, it's hard to disagree with you. Because the Storm defensively have been very good. Attacking-wise, have been okay, but you're going to expect the Dogs to be able to defend for the most part because these are the two best defensive teams in the comp. So it's a HIA here for Joe Chance. He'll come off 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Sniper Wombat says Storm didn't play the whistle. No, it's a try. There's nothing wrong with the try. A very lucky try because of the deflection, but it's a try. There's nothing wrong with the try at all. And the Storm still did try to... Oh, the Dogs have knocked the ball on. First tackle, and the Dogs are going to knock the ball on, lads. 10 metres out. That is not how you do it. Jacob Kiraz will knock the ball on, and the Storm will get the ball at 10. Geez, that's a chunker. T.I. says, Burra, quack, 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 Bulldogs. What? Sean says, anywhere he wants it if he scores. All right, so let's see defensively how the Dogs are playing with Sexton on the field and Crichton off. If I'm the Storm, you attack that left-hand side 1 million times out of 10. 1 billion times nearly out of 10. Just a reminder for people who don't know, whoever loses this game is not eliminated. They play the winner of tomorrow's game between the Warriors and Panthers. We will be live for that. The winner of this game, that's a terrible pass. The winner of this game will go through the preliminary finals in 2 weeks' time to play the loser of the Raiders Broncos, and then the winner of the Roosters Sharks, and then the winner of the Roosters Sharks Broncos Raiders semi-final. So Jonah Pezzett off to Utukamanu, and then Utukamanu hit the 10. When the Storm were down here and scored their first try, it was very easy for the Storm, so let's see if they can do it again. 10 metres out, Harry Grant, he will go to Cameron Munster. Munster at the back here to Josh King. Don't let him score, Seb Watson. And penalty to the Storm, you probably take the 2 here. In a finals game like this, you take the 2 every day of the week. In a finals game like this, you take the 2 every single day of the week here. 2 best defensive teams in the comp, you take the lead here every day of the week. Make it 8-6. You make it 8-6 here. Nikhil says this game has definitely not been free-flowing so far. Yeah, absolutely. But you're going to find a defensive style game like this between the 2 best defensive teams in the comp, and the Storm are going to take the 2. Laurie says, ugly win is what the Dogs need, but not like that bloody knock-on. Well, it wasn't a knock-on. No, there wasn't a knock-on from Toby Sexton. He didn't touch it with his hands. It hit his knee. It hit his knee. So the Storm here from right in front to make it 8-6. Clippy says, Dogs fans are known for celebrating too early, though. Sure. Bretton says, King was close to scoring there. Don't give Seb Watson any ammunition, mate. Don't do it. Don't do it. If he scores like the winner in the 80th minute, I'm ending the stream right there. I'm not even reacting to it. I'm not even reacting to it. I'm going to bed. It's only 5:22 p.m. over here in Vietnam, but I'm going to bed. I'll be done. If Josh King does it, I'll be done. No disrespect towards Josh King. Just disrespect towards Seb Watson. So news out of the Bulldog sheds. It's a foot injury. Assessing him at the moment. So we don't know about the severity of the foot injury, but it is a foot injury here for Stephen Crichton. Ali says, go, 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 doggies. Papua New Guinea, stay for you. I don't know what the last 2 words there are, but get around you there. Oh, come on, that's not high. Well, Josh King does prevent it from him hitting the face, so it's like, it is high, but it isn't. I get where you're coming from. KJ Sports says, what game are you most looking forward to? For some reason, it is Warriors-Panthers. I don't know why I get a gut feeling the Warriors get up. I don't know why. Because I shouldn't. I've been shitting on them for 2 months, and rightfully so. Warriors fans have been agreeing. But I don't know why. I just get a bit of have a little faith in me about the Warriors tomorrow. So second tackle at the 25. I really shouldn't though. I should get it out of my mind. So Storm on third tackle to the 33. Don't forget, the Bulldogs scored, knocked the ball on a first tackle, and then gave away a penalty to give the Storm back the lead. Third tackle, they're going to kick a attempted 40-20 here. They're throwing the ball back on the inside. The Storm are chasing it through Xavier Coates. Oh, Connor Tracy will get back. Oh boy, that was close though. Connor Tracy nearly made a massive mistake, but he did stop a 40-20 as well. Great kick from Jonah Pezzett, I think on third tackle, was it? If it's not his knee, that is a good start. No, it was a foot injury. It was a foot injury, which, it's a good start because obviously you don't want to be saying anything like anything of the serious stuff that you see with the knee. But foot injuries can still be really awkward, and you need your feet in rugby league. You need your feet just as much as your hands. Forward tackle here with the Dogs at the 40. Great kick by Pezzett. Yeah, Pezzett's done a good job here today when he's been on. Interesting that Tyron Wishart hasn't seen the field yet, however. So Lachlan Galvin on fifth tackle. Is that the first time they've kicked on fifth today? I feel like it is. I feel like that might be the first time we've seen the Bulldogs actually kick that ball on fifth today. So Storm of the 13. First tackle. Oh, I wasn't even focusing on where Toby Sexton was, by the way. Toby Sexton is playing centre. He's playing left centre. So it's... Sexton hasn't come on with Burton going to centre. They are playing Toby Sexton left centre. So third tackle for the Storm, and they're at the 30. Harry Grant will go to... Oh, that's a big collision there. That's a massive collision with Alec McDonald and Sitili Tupanua, and the Storm now will get the ball to the 42. Fifth tackle on their own side of the field. Harry Grant to Cameron Munster. They will kick this ball from outside the 40 at the 42. Should be an easy grab here for the Dogs at the 15. And now Jacob Kiraz will bring it to the 25, and good contact there from the Storm, bring it back to the 13. 23, sorry. Shannon says, quote of the evening, you need your feet. Funny, bro. Well, you do. You do. You need your feet. Everyone talks about how much you need your hands in rugby league. Well, I'd argue that the more important fact is that you need your feet. Jethro Rinakama, what's the point of having hands if you don't have your feet to run the ball? Jared, I'm chatting on Discord with my Storm mate, and they are baffled by kicking on the fourth by Dogs. It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. Do we have any idea why they've been pushing this game? No idea, dude, because it's done nothing. It's really done nothing for the Dogs. Fourth tackle here, and they're going to run it now on to fifth tackle. So it's good to see that they're actually going to fifth. They've obviously gone away from that game plan now with these last couple of sets kicking on fifth tackle, but it just has been really odd decision. Floating bomb there, and easy grab for Will Warbrick, but he has made 2 knock-ons today already, but he will get this ball at the 8, and he won't knock this one on. Mitchell says 3 halves on at once. Look at these wannabe Tigers. Well, to be fair, wasn't it the Rabbitohs who originally did this a couple of years back? Well, not originally, but out of the recent history, I think the Rabbitohs are the first when they had Adam Reynolds, Cody Walker, and Benji Marshall, no? Good defense here from the Dogs. Third tackle, now fourth tackle at 23, and Sitili Tupanua with 3 tackles in this 4-tackle set. That's huge. Tupanua has been incredible these last few moments. And Storm get this ball to the 35 on fifth tackle. Sitili is copying plays. Mate, Sitili Tupanua has had an incredible start. Cameron Munster from inside the 40. He will kick this ball just down the centre, though. And Connor Tracy, he'll pass. Connor Tracy will get this ball from Kiraz, and then he'll be at the 30 on first tackle. Just don't make a mistake here, Dogs. Just get through your set. Dogs of wartime. Well, their defense in the Storm 20 just then was actually quite phenomenal. It was very Panthers-esque in a lot of ways. Dogs get the ball to the 45 through Jacob Kiraz, and now Tupanua. Jeez, he's been mental while being on. He's at the 40 on the Storm side of the field with a good 5-6 metres post-contact there. So Sitili Tupanua has been incredible these last few moments. Connor Tracy into the line. Jacob Preston, here with the 25 fit tackle. Completion rate, 88% for the Storm, 78% for the Bulldogs. You want to be sitting at 80%. Dogs are just underneath it. Storm are well above it. That's a good kick. I think that's a knock-on both ways. But Storm knock on first here, maybe? He's asking if the first knock-on's from Lachlan Galvin here. Or Melbourne in the initial contest. Who touches this ball first here? Galvin, good chase. Live, it did look like... I thought the Storm touched it first here in Meaney. But... oh, I don't know. Nick Meaney does touch this first, I would say. I did think that the Storm knocked this on first. Yeah, they're going to say knock on both ways, but Dogs get the ball 10 metres out. Well, we don't need to see what happens with Lachlan Galvin. It's pretty clear he just knocks that ball on. So it's going to be Dogs' ball here, 10 metres out. Paul said, let's go Storm, and please not video ref for the horrible decision because I just got in to listen to you. No, well, luckily we did see the right bunker decision there, or video ref decision. All right, so Dogs will get this ball 10 metres out. Good chase there from Lachlan Galvin. You like to see that. Dogs 10 metres out. Their attack has not been good today, and they've been down here a bit. And Stephen Crichton's still off the field, by the way. He is on the bike, though, keeping himself warm. So he might be okay to come back. Here we go, Doggies start woofing. Maybe we get start woofing here. Maybe. Second half, Galvin to centres and section of the halves. Why? Oh, my goodness me. The Dogs nearly just scored through Toby Sexton. 8 metres away. They go left-hand side quickly. Connor Tracy steps, and he'll be taken out 5 metres after the line. Second tackle. Why? That would make no sense. Galvin to centres. Why? Second tackle. Bailey Hayward to the 11. Toby Sexton's had an incredible start. Tupanua! Oh, my gosh. The defence from the Storm there was incredible, Nick Meaney. Tupanua deserved the try for his start. Third tackle, 10 metres out. Toby Sexton across it to Galvin. Galvin to the line here. Jacob Preston, 5 metres out. Fourth tackle. 10 minutes to go here the first half, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Dogs 10 metres out. They go left. Oh, they slip over and they slow down every part of the play. And it's going to be fifth tackle now for Kurt Mann, 9 metres out. Damn it, they broke that play down. 8 metres out. Bailey Hayward to Lachlan Galvin. Galvin out the back here. Try time for the Doggies in the corner. Jacob Kiraz with a try time in the corner, and it's 10-8 with a kick to come to the Canterbury Bulldogs. They do get the try in the corner, and the Dogs take the lead with 10 minutes to go the first half. Yeah, the Dogs did look dangerous there, Monkey Muay Thai. The Storm did look really good defensively and did stop them a lot, but then the Dogs were just playing with some speed. Toby Sexton coming on has actually changed this game in favour of the Dogs. I will say that. Toby Sexton coming on has been really good for the Dogs to get a bit of momentum here, and they will take the lead. And then they just had him for numbers there. Xavier Coates was forced to come in for the centre because the centre for the Storm in Jack Howarth, he moved in to make the tackle, which probably was covered. But they really needed to push across there, and it was just an easy try in the corner for Jake Kiraz. So it is 10-8 to the Dogs with 10 minutes to go the first half. Good pass from Connor Tracy too. Risky pass too, though, because Xavier Coates, if he was waiting for it, there was an opportunity for an intercept, but obviously he didn't think about that. The Dogs get it across, and it's a try in the corner. Jared Farman says, so good to see Kiraz back. Nate Chase's own nice one. Doggies, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Jared says, Sexy Sexton having a point to prove. Absolutely. Tupanua, for him not to score. The Storm defense has actually been really top-notch here today because there is breakthroughs, but they're having great cover defense where Matt Burton should have easily scored before, but you saw Jonah Pezzett with a fantastic tackle. And then Harry Grant, Nick Meaney just stopped a really big run from Sitili Tupanua. Like, Storm on the cover have been fantastic, but the Dogs still found a way to break them down. Johnson's not enjoying the referee involvement in this match. It's making for a horrible football from both sides. I disagree. Well, what do you severely disagree with in regards to the referee today? Matt Burton here from the sideline. Matt Burton will get a kick. It's a good kick from Birdo. That's a good kick from Birdo. And it is 12 points to 8 to the Canterbury Bulldogs with 9 minutes to go in the first half. Yeah, I thought Tupanua was in. It looked like Tupanua was guaranteed in. It also looked like Matt Burton was in, but yet the Storm kept covering in the defense. It's just that they got done for the numbers on the wing because the Dogs forced them into that central department. So one says, lovely kick, nice and calm. Beautiful. Beautiful kick there from Birdo. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, by the way, good to see Josh Papali'i. He's re-signed with the Raiders for another year. Things that you love to see, even if you're not a Raiders fan. Things you love to see. Lagan says, although we scored, that's a good example of why the winger needs to come in with his centre because we now had to take it from the sideline. Sure, I will agree with your point, but not for the reason you said it, but I will agree to the point that if the winger doesn't come in there, then Connor Tracy has an easy pass onto the inside for the centre to score rather than Jacob Kiraz. So it's like no matter what, Xavier Coates has to come into the centre because Jack Howarth has come in for Connor Tracy. So Connor Tracy seeing that and acknowledging that, which is a good play, is able to skip out past the right side centre and get it straight across to Jacob Kiraz because the winger has to come in. So not for necessarily the point that you're making, but your point is still correct. Fourth tackle here at the 50. TI23 says, man, look how dangerous Sexton is. Ciraldo got it wrong. Well, he's playing in the centres right now. He's playing in the centres, but he's just come on and absolutely crushed it, man. Scored a try. Very lucky try, but scored a try. And then has looked really dangerous on the field as well. Storm will get this ball to the 13 now. So now, Dogs have a massive advantage because they're the best defensive team in the comp, and they're the ones leading by 4. Yeah, you could have so easily been without William McKickhow and Stephen Crichton, but both players were able to come back onto the field. Oh, well, no, Stephen Crichton hasn't come back onto the field yet. But also, what do you do? Because Toby Sexton has been a massive involvement in this game. Massive. He's been huge. So what do you do with Toby Sexton? Like, Galvin hasn't been doing the job. Sexton's been fantastic. I genuinely would put Sexton onto the 7. All right, so Storm now at the 40 will kick this ball. Is that 40-20? Is that 40-20? Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Jonah Pezzett has been great. Oh, that's a great 40-20 there from Jonah Pezzett. That is a great 40-20 there from Jonah Pezzett. Toby should have never been dropped, and Kurtman and Toops are our game changers. Tupanua has been fantastic. I will absolutely agree with you in regards to Toby as well. Brilliant kick there from Jonah Pezzett, and the Storm will go back on the attack here, and that's what you love to see. Tyrone Wishart, surprisingly not the 7. He was meant to be the 7, then they changed it to Pezzett, and it's looking like a good decision right now. And now it's going to be Tui Kamikamitha, 10 metres away from the line. Harry Grant goes to Cameron Munster. Munster steps onto the inside. He's 10 metres out. He's now 5 metres away from the line. Second tackle. Bulldogs, got the best defence in the comp. Let's see if he can hold out from the third best attack in the competition behind the Dolphins and the Broncos. Storm, easy try. Oh, no, good cover. Good cover to get the offload away to Will Warbrick at the 10. Will Warbrick, he cuts his ball to the 3, 2 metres away from the line. Third tackle, good cover. It looked like they got done for numbers on the right, but the Dogs really covered across nicely. They give it across here to Jonah Pezzett. Jonah Pezzett into the line, hits the grass, not a good pass there. But the Storm still have the ball at 20. And Meany gives it offloaded here. And Ativali Lesati, and he'll be 13 metres away, 4th tackle. Now they go into Harry Grant. Harry Grant to Munster. Munster gives it switch and play, and they'll be 10 metres out. Not the play there. But the Storm go quickly. Short hand side. Munster short into the line. Lisati! Try time for the Melbourne Storm. Ativalu Lisati with the try. What a final we have here today, guys. What a final we have today. 12-12 with the kick to come. Boom, boom, boom. That was really smart play there from Harry Grant and Cameron Munster to go back quickly to the left-hand side, to the short side. They had a really minimal amount of space to work in here. But yet they saw the Dogs, and this was after a fantastic 40-20 kick there from Jonah Pezzett just before the 40. Beautiful kick there from Pezzett. Got them on the attack right after the Dogs scored, and now they have a chance to take back the lead. But this is a fantastic final we're watching. It is a fantastic final where the Storm, Harry Grant, this is why he's so crucial to their attack. He chooses to go near side, then Munster, and then Lisati, the big back rower. He's in the centres there. He scores, and then he made sure that he scored right there. He absolutely made sure. So 5 minutes to go in the first half. It is 12-12 with the kick to come. This is why Harry Grant, because do I believe Bronson Garlick does the left-hand side short play there? No, I don't. I don't think Bronson Garlick does it. I think he would have gone back to the right-hand side. Yes, sure. Cameron Munster is probably demanding that ball to the left. I don't necessarily believe that Bronson Garlick is the kind of guy that would have gone short side flank there. I think he would have gone back to the open play. They would have got it back to Jonah Pezzett or whatever, and they would have kicked it into the corner for the other side. But instead, they have decided to go the short side play. That's why Harry Grant is the best hooker in the game. Mitchell with the $10 redo donation. Get around you, Mitchell. Says, where do Melbourne keep finding these halves? Storm will from the sideline. Smack it in. 14-12 with the Melbourne Storm with 4 minutes to go. Mitchell, the Storm just always find plays. You know, halves, fullbacks, whoever it is, you name it, the Storm just know. They just get it. They do just absolutely get it. Thank you very much for your $10 redo donation, Mitchell. Who the fuck has this siren in Amy Park? Get this stupid siren out of Amy Park. It is the stupidest sound I've ever heard. Sorry for the swearing, but it really is just annoying. That is an annoying sound from some person at Amy Park right now who just keeps going, that is the most annoying sound to listen to while I was watching this rugby league game. So the Storm now, Cameron Munster will get this ball here at the 10, and Tui Kamikamithi is going to bring this ball at 20. I can't believe I actually swore then at that, but like, who's got this stupid siren? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Michael says, is Michael Cheika thinking, not the time, bro, ask me at half time. Third tackle here at the 40. 3.5 minutes to go the first half. Lagan says, Sexton has been a better 7 than Galvin today. I 100% agree, and I've been saying that. I think that Galvin was really struggling, and then when Sexton came on, it changed the game. And Harry Grant, they go to the right. I also think you were very, very lucky, though, that Viliami Kikau was able to come back on because he got off to a belting start and then got injured. But he's been a huge look at the chase down there. But they kick this ball up into the corner, really high kick. A lot of pressure here, but Con Tracy doesn't fold under it, and he brings it out to the 20 and gets away from Warbrick, and he's at the 25, first tackle. Michael says, apparently Brian Kelly... Brother, Michael, read the room, brother. Please ask at halftime. Please ask at halftime when the game isn't as hot as it is right now. Third tackle for the Dogs at the 40. 3 minutes to go the first half. Your question's fine. I haven't got your question. Just ask me the question at halftime, my guy. Oh, so Joe Chan has failed his HIA for the Melbourne Storm, by the way. He will not return in this game. And that means he as well will not play next week if the Storm do lose this game. He will not be able to play in the second week of the finals. But if the Storm win, then they won't have to play in the second week of the finals, and he'll still get to just play in the third week in the preliminary finals. Someone says, one of those megaphones with the siren in, wankers. It's just so annoying. Such an annoying sound. So the Storm at the 15. Now, you're a good, Michael. You're a good, brother. So first tackle now at the 22. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Lagan says, we should have never really signed Galvin mid-season. It should have given Sexton the season and given Galvin a fresh pre-season. Oh, another knock-on here from the Storm wingers. Will Warbrick has knocked twice, and Xavier Coates has just knocked on just then. 0 tackle with the Dogs at 35. It's so disappointing in regards to them coming out after a Dogs kick. They just keep inviting the Dogs into the game. They keep inviting the Dogs. Another 6 again for the Dogs. And Tipanua is going to be 25 metres out. If I'm Craig Bellamy, you're giving an uppercut to both Will Warbrick and Xavier Coates. They are 2 crucial knock-ons there. First tackle here for the 3 crucial knock-ons, sorry. The Dogs, left-hand side, Lachlan Galvin, Viliami Kikau. Viliami Kikau steps. He gets the offload away back to Lachlan Galvin. Galvin runs into the line, and then he'll just get taken down to the 13th, second tackle. Minute and a half to go here the first half. Minute and a half to go. Bailey Hayward to Josh Curran. Curran now, Kurt Mann. Oh, forward pass. Yep, that's a forward pass. Forward pass from Kurt Mann. So the Storm will get the ball at 13. I let off the hook there. While I got a quick break here, Michael said, apparently Brian Kelly might go to the Wolves in Super League. So I'll quickly answer this right now, because I know we've got to go through the stats at half time. Brian Kelly at the Super League, I'm not against it, but I do think he played incredible alongside AJ Brimson on the wing in the game against the Tigers last week. I think that is something that could be in the mind of Josh Hannay. He is still contracted for next year, Brian Kelly. I would not be surprised if we did see Brian Kelly and AJ Brimson on that left-hand side. I do think you need to bring back Alofiana Camprero onto the wing, but then you've got Jojo Fafita in the centres. That could be the 2, 3, 4, 5 that you see next year. If Josh Hannay's thinking that Tigers game was a good sign of what could come from those two, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Brian Kelly does obviously leave. However, he is contracted for next year. So first tackle of the Storm coming off their own 10. Elliott Katoa to the 25. Just don't concede in this last 25 seconds here, Bulldogs. And Storm will go quickly. Harry Grant gives it off here to Jonah Pezzett. And Pezzett now to the 35. 17 seconds to go of the first half. Do they think about a 2-point field goal if they can get in range? They probably don't have the time. Harry Grant. And they go quickly to Munster. Munster gets it off to Nick Meaney, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. They will play it. They will get last play here. Harry Grant to Munster. Munster pushes away from a couple. He's still going, and he will go taking over the sidelines. That'll be half-time. That will be half-time, and what a first half we have seen here. That has been just defensive grit, but also a lot of points. Like 14-12 is a lot of points for these two teams in the first half. Again, the Dogs were the best defensive team of the competition by about 50 or 45 on the second best defensive team of the competition, which is the Storm, who were the second best defensive team of the competition by only 10 points to the Panthers, actually, who were in the third. Yeah, wow. Okay, so not too much of a switch up there. But overall, these are clearly the two best defensive teams in the comp, and yet we have seen 26 points in that first half. So if you got on the under, you're probably a little bit nervous here, because I would have assumed that it'd be around that 34 to 36 mark, and it's looking likely to go over that. But let's get into these stats here at halftime, guys. Again, This is the first week of the finals. This is a match between second and third, which means whoever loses this will play the winner of tomorrow's game of Warriors-Panthers. Whoever loses that Warriors-Panthers game is out. But whoever wins this game will get next week off and will go straight through to the preliminary finals in 2 weeks' time. So don't think whoever loses this is gone. But let's get into the stats at halftime to see how it is tracking along. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. We're trying to get to 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Now, the score is 14-12 for the Storm. The try scorers for Melbourne, Elias Katoa and Ativalu Lesati. The try scorers for the Bulldogs is Toby Sexton and Jacob Kiraz, with the penalty goal being the only difference from Nick Meaney to make it 14-12. Now, in regards to the stats, the possession, again, similar to what we saw about 3-4 weeks ago between the Dogs and the Storm down here in Melbourne. The Dogs do have the possession battle. It's only slight, though. 51% for the Dogs and 49% there for the Melbourne Storm. Very, very slight, but again, the Dogs are keeping the ball more than the Melbourne Storm in the game. Time in possession. Now, you want to see at a very big minimum 25 minutes here overall to see a free-flowing game. 28 minutes and above is really free-flowing, or is 27 to 28 is normal, and then 28 and above is very free-flowing. So we've seen 14 minutes and 5 seconds time in possession here for the Dogs, and 13 minutes and 44 seconds time in possession for the Storm. So a separator of about 21 seconds there. But 14, 13, that's 25, 26, 27. It's about 28 minutes. So the person who was before, I think, was it John? It was someone in the chat was saying that it wasn't as free-flowing. I just want to quickly go so that John. So I see your point, and I understand your point, but the time possession here is showing that it is relatively free-flowing here. 27 minutes and 49 seconds worth of actual time in possession is actually not too bad. It's actually pretty decent. So we're not seeing the referee involved as much as you probably feel like. Maybe because at the time the Storm was struggling to get control of the game, it was leaving you frustrated and you were looking to the referee there. But the time possession there does show that it is quite free-flowing to get around that 28-minute mark. Now, the completion rate, you want to be seeing at least 80% here, and both teams aren't there. And you can tell from the Storm, it's coming from their wingers, because Will Warbrick's had 2 knock-ons, and so has Xavier Coates with 1 knock-on. That's really poor. They've had 5 incomplete sets, the Storm. 17 from 22, they're at 77%, and the Bulldogs are at 79% with 19 from 24. So both teams have had 5 incomplete sets, but the Storm have had 2 less sets in total. So it's the same amount of errors, but it's just the Storm haven't had as much of the ball. So both teams aren't hitting the 80% completion rate. Obviously, they're still super close, so you're not really going to hound into them too much. You're not going to hate on it too much. But both teams are super close to that 80% marker that you need to be seeing. Then you go to the runs. You've got 92 runs here for the Storm and 746 run meters, whilst the Bulldogs are at 95 runs and 804 run meters. So the Dogs have 3 more runs in this game. And they've also got 60-odd more meters in this game, which is a good sign for them. Now, if you look for the 10 meters on average per run, which is is a very solid number that you aim to achieve. It's not easy. It's a very solid number. But the Storm are behind that by about 180 meters or so, whilst the Dogs are behind by about 150 meters or so. So the Dogs are getting the more run meters with the ball. If you wanted to be unfair and give the Storm an extra 30 meters for the 10 meters on average per run to bring us to the 95, they would be at 776, which is still, with an unfair metric, would still be about 30 meters behind where the Bulldogs are at. So the Dogs are winning the run meters department, but the Storm are definitely winning the post-contact meters. And I said this at the beginning of the game, the Storm were clearly dominating the post-contact in that first 5 minutes of the game, which set them up for that easy try for Elias Katoa. 282 post-contact meters here for the Storm, 267 post-contact meters there for the Bulldogs, and that's with 3 extra runs for the Dogs. So the Storm, with 3 less runs, are beating the Dogs out by 15 meters in post-contact. Now, that may not look like a lot, and they probably only get up to about the 20 to potentially 30 on the post-contact above the Dogs with an equal 3 extra runs. But the Storm have pretty clearly been winning that post-contact meter battle throughout the day. It's not a significant switch up, but the Storm, for mine on the eye test and from the stats here, to be down by 3 runs and then up by about 15 is very, very good for Melbourne. So the Dogs are just winning out that run meters department, but the Storm are definitely winning out the post-contact. Line breaks is 3-1 to Melbourne, which is pretty solid there, but it's not awful. But 3 line breaks is still getting up there for the Dogs. Then tackle breaks. This is a gigantic number. 26 tackle breaks for the Melbourne Storm in the first half to 12 tackle breaks for the Canterbury Bulldogs. What that stat is, which we'll go deeper into in a second when we get to the defensive stats, that stat is about missed tackles. So the Dogs have missed 26 tackles in this first half, whilst the Storm have only missed 12 tackles in the first half. And if you do go and have a look at that first try for Toby Sexton, the Canterbury Bulldogs, it didn't really come too heavily off of great attacking play. William a kick out, sure, but it was very lucky that it hit the knee and not Toby Sexton's hands, which led into the lucky try. So overall, it's showing that the Storm on defense are actually doing really good here, and the Bulldogs are actually allowing the Storm to get away from tackles, and they're missing 26, which is 9 above the average of 15 to 17. So the Dogs defensively here on an individual level have actually given up a ridiculous amount of tackle breaks. Now, in regards to the average set distance, this is actually quite disappointing for both these teams. So 25 metres and under, you turn the stream off, it's disgusting. 25 to 30 is disgusting. 30 to 35 is underwhelming. 35 to 40 is hitting the marker. 40 to 45 is great. 45 to 50 is fantastic. And 50 plus is basically perfect. The Storm are at 33.95 and the Bulldogs are at 33.48. So both these teams aren't hitting the marker of 35. 33.95 is, mid to upper range of underwhelming, whilst the Dogs at 33.48 is pretty much smack bang in the middle there of underwhelming, if not getting low, mid to upper of underwhelming. They're both not hitting the 35. So it's not good enough here, but it shows that both teams' defenses are locking down collectively to really focus on the intensity of keeping the players back and not giving them a whole bunch of meters. And I guarantee in that first 5 minutes, the Storm will probably around that 45 mark, but the Dogs have been able to bring them down to the 33.95 across the collective 40 minutes. So it's a good stat here for the defense of both these teams, bad stat for the attack of both these teams. Then you go to the average play the ball speed, 3.46 seconds for the Storm, and then 3.67 seconds for the Dogs. I'm going to quickly answer a question, answer a comment here. After Effects says Dogs miss a lot of tackles, but they scramble. It's not necessarily true. They do have, I will agree on the scramble though, when they do miss a tackle, they do have a really good ability to cover. They do have a fantastic ability to cover the missed tackle and to complete it before the try is scored. That's why the score isn't a blowout right now. They do have that. But the Dogs don't miss as many tackles statistically week in, week out, as you're probably alluding to there. 26 is a ridiculous number. Like that's not as bad as what we've seen from other teams this year, but it's getting up there to one of the more missed tackles across any team in the Dogs. That's an unheard of number for them this year. So whilst I take your point and say it's valid regarding the Dogs in regards to the scramble, I will say that in regards to missed tackles, that's an unheard of number for them this year. But the play the ball speed at 3.46 seconds for the Storm, 3.67 seconds for the Dogs, separated by 0.21 seconds. That's pretty average for the Storm. 3.4 to 3.59 is in the average category, and then 3.6 to 3.79 is a slow. 3.8 and above is extremely slow. So Dogs are at a slow category, getting towards the extremely slow, but nothing too crazy, whilst the Storm are at a smack bang average in regards to play the ball speed. Then you go to the passing. 4 offloads to the Dogs, 3 offloads to the Storm, so pretty equivalent there. You've got the kick defusal of 33% for the Storm, 100% for the Dogs. We haven't seen a force dropout yet in this game, which does show that both teams haven't necessarily been finishing off their fifth tackle options when the Dogs have especially had quite a few opportunities down the other end. But then again, they did score that try on the last one. Point is that you would like to see a force drop at some point to show that a team is obviously putting themselves into the right areas. But again, the score is 14-12, so you can't really complain too much. Big 40-20 there for the Storm, 1-0 there. And then the effective tackle percentage, here's a key telling point, 85% and below is disgusting. 85% to 88% is underwhelming. 88% to 90% is hitting the marker. And then 90% and above is brilliant. Now, the Storm are at 90.95%, so they are into the brilliant category there. This is an individual metric. It is an individual effective tackle percentage metric based off of the tackles of individual players. It's not a collective metric. Now, the tackles made for the Storm is 181, missed tackles is 12, and the ineffective tackles is 6. So the ineffective tackles are smacking the average there. 6-7 is average, 5 and below is good, and then 8 and above is bad. 6 is right on the smack average, but the 12 missed tackles are great. That's incredible because 15 to 17 is the average, and 12 is not really a number that you usually see, and that's a really good category. So 3 under the lowest of the averages there is very good for the Melbourne Storm. Ineffective is very just normalised. So 18 bad tackles in the first half of the Storm. Now it's 7 ineffective tackles, which is still on the average They've just updated it, still on the average, but now it's 19 bad tackles for the Storm in the first half. So not much of a change there. Still average, but one extra ineffective tackle. Then for the Bulldogs, they're at 86.78%. So they are in the underwhelming category here for the individual effective tackle percentage. 86.78% is 1.22% behind where they want to be sitting at the very minimum. They've got 197 tackles made for a whopping 26 missed tackles, as I said, and then 4 ineffective. So comparatively to the Storm have 19 bad tackles to the Dogs, who have got 30 bad tackles. But the difference as well is that with those 26 missed tackles, again, the average is 15 to 17, they're 9 missed tackles above it, but the ineffective tackle is really limiting it. So if their ineffective tackles were up around the Storm, their 86.78% would actually drop down to about 85% and potentially into the disgusting category around the 84.7 or so percent. So it's really good in regards to their ineffective, but the missed tackles being 9 above the highest of the average of 15 to 17 is really poor stuff. So the Dogs, if they want to win this game, they have to come together and fix that stat. 26 is not good. But overall, they're still only about 1.22% behind where they want to at least be at. Now, the errors in this game is getting up there. So 4 and below is good, 5 to 6 is average, 7 above is bad. The Storm are at 6, the Bulldogs are at 5. So both teams are on the average of 5-6. It's not great. It's not bad. It's not awful. It's just what you normally see, which you don't want to be seeing in a game of this caliber between second and third. But at the end of the day, we have seen it. Will Warbrick has knocked on 2 sitters, and Xavier Coates has also knocked on a sitter. And then they've had 3 errors alongside that as well. So that definitely needs to be looked at from both these teams here, specifically the Storm with the 6, because it is one away from going into the really bad category. And we have seen the Storm making a lot of errors in recent weeks, especially the last month or so. Even when they were winning games, they were still making quite a few mistakes. So that is something that needs to be kept an eye on. Penalties conceded is 2-1 against the Dogs, so nothing too drastic there. Ruck infringements is 4-1 against the Storm, so they've been ill-disciplined. Basically what this is showing is it's actually 5 penalties against the Storm, 3 penalties against the Dogs. It's just they're in different areas of the field. From outside your own 40, that is a 6 again for the most part, and then inside your own 40, it is going to be a penalty, right? Sometimes there'll be differing things where there is a penalty despite being outside of your own 40. That's not the point. Point is that basically 5 penalties overall, 3 penalties. It's quite normalised here, but the Storm are just giving away a lot more of those 6 agains with the ruck infringements. So if you look across all these stats on a quick basis, both teams need to limit their errors. Penalties isn't too bad, but the Storm want to look into their ruck infringements. Effective tackle percentage is well in advantage of the Storm there. The 40-20 was great. The offloads are similar. The play the ball speed slow for the Dogs. I'm really interested why they started off this game kicking the ball on 4 tackle a lot, but the Storm are playing at a pretty regular rate themselves. Average set distance is now 34.52 for the Storm, but still both of them underwhelming there. Line breaks is in advantage of the Storm by 3-1, and the post contact meters is winning by the Storm, but the run meters is being won currently by the Bulldogs by about 50-40 odd, with two extra runs. Completion rate, both not 80%, but close enough. So overall, the game is clearly in the balance. Like, anything can still happen. Obviously, it's 14-12. Yeah, sure, the Dogs scored a lucky try. But overall, the game is well and truly in the balance, and it just comes down to in the second half who limits their errors more, which might sound like a simple thing to be said, but when you're saying 6 errors for the Storm and 5 errors for the Canterbury Bulldogs, it is a simple thing that needs to be said that Craig Bellamy is going to knuckle down on, because Craig Bellamy is not going to complain about the defense for the most part, because as we just spoke about with the Dog scramble, the Storm scramble is also very, very good. But there you go. Storm are running out here for the second half, and same with the Doggy Woof Woof. Infinite Kiwi says, are you not entertained? What a first 40 of footy. It was great footy. It was a great first 40. After Effects, this team separated by a bullshit Storm penalty. Let's not do this, After Effect. Come on, let's not do this. Let's not ruin a great first half there. At the end of the day, the score is valid, and the referees aren't to blame for all. No, Stephen Crichton won't be back here today, guys. He's in a moon boot. Stephen Crichton is in a moon boot, so really praying for Stephen Crichton that he's able to play either next week or the preliminary final. We don't know what that is, but something to do with a foot injury. KTT says, come on, Storm, you're scaring me, not looking too flash, in my opinion. I disagree. You're seeing first versus second right now in defense. You're seeing second versus third on the table. You know, this is a game between 2 very good teams that deserve their positions on the ladder. There's a whole second half to go here. The only thing that would actually concern me that I just thought about, Storm will get this ball to the 15. Thumbs up, subscribe for the second half. But the only thing that concerns me is the Storm's second halves recently have been really poor. One against the Roosters, where they're up 10-0 at half time and then lost the game 40-10. So didn't score a point in the second half and conceded 40. And then the other game against the Broncos, where they just simply weren't good in the second half either. So overall, I'm concerned about the Storm second halves. I am concerned about the Bulldogs and the crunch. It'll make for a very interesting second half here. But the fact is the Storm are leading 14-12, so they'll be happy with that. But they have thrown it away in recent weeks as well. Sean James, after a 24-minute phone call from Oz, 2 points behind is good enough for me at halftime. Yeah, you wouldn't be complaining too much. After effects is, a bit too high here in the stat. It just is. Like, again, not here shitting on the Dogs' defence overall, because I do think that their scramble has been good to agree to your point. But that 26 missed tackles is extremely high. 17 is the highest of the average that you see across the competition. And that's inclusive of the bottom 9 teams. So if we're talking about bottom 9 teams being involved in a stat that equals out to an average of 15 to 17, and yet they're 9 above that, the teams who aren't even here, there's a problem. So, yeah, scramble is different, but pure effective tackle percentage, it was a worry. And they still have conceded 14 points, which is not necessarily normal for them in the first half. 4 tackle for the Dogs, the 48. Michael says, God bless Critter. Sean James is 2 points behind and post-contact 15 metres in front. Second half should be interesting. Well, no, the Storm have got the post-contact battle. The Storm are up on the post-contact by 30 metres right now. And they've got they had a couple less runs. Storm now second tackle at 30. Storm were up by about 15 to 20 metres post-contact at half-time with about 2 less runs. So, no, but the actual meters, the run meters, the Dogs were up by about 40 or so with a couple of extra runs. Elias Katoa will get this ball to the 45 on 4 tackle. Seb Watson says, my only concern is we haven't yet seen Josh King get over, fingers crossed. Actually, moderators, remember this for tomorrow. If Josh King doesn't score in this second half, Seb Watson gets a 5-minute timeout in that first Warriors-Panthers game tomorrow. 5-minute timeout for you tomorrow, Seb Watson, if Josh King doesn't score. And if he does score, I apologise to you. I promise you. So Dogs get this ball to the 25. David says, if Storm lose and Warriors win, Storm versus Warriors finals week 2, that would be crazy. Hold on, Stephen Crichton officially ruled out of this game. Syndesmosis. That has massive ramifications. Syndesmosis, how long is that out for? How long is Syndesmosis out for? 4 tackle now for the Dogs, and they're going to get this ball to the 43. Apprentice, unfortunately, mate, there's only one S in Storm, and you can't get away with it by putting a Z there. 5th tackle now at the 48. You're right, Sean. Lagan says, clear knock-on from Melbourne, but turn a blind eye ref. Well, I didn't see the knock-on, but I did see them all complaining about it, but I didn't see the knock-on. I would have expected more people to blow up in the chat. I know you were looking at the Dogs players. I didn't see the knock-on, though. But I wasn't necessarily 100% focusing at the time. Second tackle now for the Storm at the 22. However, you are a Dogs fan, so you're going to be more inclined to look for that. I don't think it was as clear, though, considering that it wasn't as acknowledged. So third tackle now at the 32. More than 4 weeks. So Stephen Crichton's gone for the season then. That's a big yikes, dude. That's a big yikes. Storm now get this ball to the 50. Alec McDonald to the 43 on the Dogs' side of the field. Great line through there on the Dogs' D fans. And Jonah Pezzett, he's going to kick this ball out in the fall there because he does get contacted with as he was going to kick it from Josh Curran. So it's going to go out in the fall about 35-40 or so. And it'll be Dogs' ball. Good play from Josh Curran. Yeah, great run from Alec McDonald up into the line. But yeah, Jonah Pezzett, just as he's going to kick here, he just ran too far into the line there. Just too far in the line. Give me 1 second here, guys. All right, we're back. Second tackle. Desmond says, we don't play next week, so we'll be back by the prelim. Well, hopefully, mate, but still going to win this game, and you are still down by 2. But third tackle for the Dogs at the 43 on the Storm side of the field. Bailey Hayward to Jacob Preston. I would assume this second half will be even more low scoring. I would assume this second half will be low scoring, but the first half did prove us wrong. And was 26 points, which is high scoring for both these teams. Viliami kick out, Lachlan Galvin. They give it off here to Matty Burton, and Burton in the centres at the 18, fit tackle. Hoping that it's minor then. Would hate to see him miss the rest of the finals. Absolutely. He's a key part of their team. They kick this ball into the corner here. The Dogs, they will knock that ball on for sure. So that's going to be in the field of play. So it'll be Storm ball at 10. Yeah, no, that would be a huge, huge blow to the... Kiraz definitely touches that ball first. And then both knock it on. But Storm now be at the 15 on first tackle. And good run here from Nick Meaney. Gets the offload away. And Lissati now to the 25 on second tackle. Yeah, Stephen Crichton is their captain. You just don't want to see stuff like that, man. So the Dogs, it's very important they get a win here. Very important they get a win. If it's, as people are saying here, minus Indus Moses, I'm not too sure. They're saying maybe 2 weeks, but if it's bigger, then it's obviously season. Anyway, right-hand side, Will Warbrick's away at the 40, the 45. He sets back onto the inside around Viliami kick out. He's still going here, taking out the 43 on fourth tackle. And you're going to, Warbrick, Toby Sexton's grabbing his peck here. God bless him. Come on. No, he's been so good today, Toby Sexton. No, you don't want to see this. No, you don't want to see this. Toby Sexton is down, injured right now. He's been having a great game. Warbrick just absolutely brutalised the attack of the Storm just then. It was so good for him to break away, but then for him to try and get back up and keep the play going after you've clearly been tackled takes away all momentum. And it would have been just play through because the only reason they really noticed Toby Sexton there was based off of the fact that he had to be brought back. Oh, Josh Curran definitely on report for a high tackle there of Jack Howarth. So Toby Sexton's fine. People are booing right now because I feel like they think he's milked that, but no, I don't think so. Anyway, I think Sexton's okay, but he was grabbing his left pec. Jonah Pezzett, he's had a good kicking game tonight. Besides that mistake just before, it's a great kick actually. And the Storm line get up and keep Connor Tracy at the 5. That's a brilliant line of defense for the Melbourne. If Sexton is fine, then life is fine. Toby Sexton is the GOAT, mate. Sexy Sexton. Might be the sexiest Sexton you ever did see. I don't even know why I put might there because he is the sexiest Sexton you ever did Sexton. So Jaggy Kiraz, third tackle. This is good. Oh, gets the offload away on second tackle to Lachlan Galvin. And he does absolutely nothing with it and just gets taken at the exact same point basically on the other side of the field at the 15. Viliami kick out the third. Now fourth tackle at the 25. He gets the offload away to Matt Burton. And Burton taking out the 33. Good offloads here from the Dogs though. MCG's next door, you Toothless Pies fans. Actually, how's that Crows game going right now? Can someone update the score for me, please? Kurt Mann at the 42, fifth tackle. I always usually get to watch the fourth quarter or so of the AFL after these NRL games finish. But I'd love to know the score. So Storm at the 15 and Will Warbrick, just don't knock it on, man. You've been worrying all day with those knock-ons. First tackle for the Storm. Oh, that's got to be a penalty. Josh Curran's clearly slowed the play. Oh, no, Munster's just been... What's happened with Munster? Oh, he just got out of the way. Oh my gosh, I had a heart attack there thinking Munster just did a serious injury. But no, he was just trying to get out of the way so there wasn't no obstruction. That was funny as. Grant Anderson gets the ball to the 35. That was terrifying. Hey, you're right, Livia. And Xavier Coates gets this ball to the 40. That, honestly, straight up just looked like Munster got injured, but he's fine. Hawks 43, 23 Crows are frauds. I still think Crows win. Munster at the back here. Pezzett! Oh, they're away. Elias Katoa gets it off into Will Warbrick. Jethro Renakama. Great defense from Jethro Renakama. He just stopped an easy try for the Storm. They go to the left-hand side. Jonah Pezzett. He kicks this ball across into Xavier Coates, but it's going to go back. Xavier Coates throws it straight to the Dogs, and that's going to be a great pick up there from Manari Tuala. They've lost the ball. Storm ball. Yeah, that's fine. That's a one on a strip. Oh, they're going to say knock on here from the Storm. They're going to say knock on from the Storm here. I don't know if you challenge this. Maybe... I don't know if you challenge this. So, Coates goes up. And then that's fine. And Nari Tuala and Jacko, they haven't challenged it, so it's irrelevant. Ooh, that would have been a very interesting call for the bunker. I don't know. Like, it's clear ship to knock on from Melbourne. Come on, bro. Open it up. Like, it was not an easy one there. Like, ultimately, they probably stay with the on-field decision. I'm aware you're a Bulldogs fan, but also try and look at it from a realistic point of view as well. Because at the end of the day, Nari Tuala, yes, there was a strip, but also it looked like he still had the ball, and then as he was coming down, that it was still with him, and then it was lost. But I will lean with the on-field decision there because I think it was a really tough decision to make. I don't think it was a clear. Jared Farm Money says, Jack Lewis, winner gets the week off and playing a grand final qualifier. A loser has to play an extra game and avoid elimination. Yes. Loser of this game plays the Warriors-Panthers next week. All right, so Dogs here. Bailey Hayward now at the 45 on fifth tackle. 30 minutes to go here of this game. Winner gets the week off next week. Loser plays the winner of Warriors Panthers tomorrow. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. 30 minutes to go. Will Warbrick, good grab. William and Kickout, good chase. And Warbrick gets away from a couple. He'll be taken up to 15. Galvin better than Coates, as mate says. Well, Coates still got the offload away, but it was good work there from Galvin. Ultimately, Jonah Peasant's kick didn't put Xavier Coates into the right position to do any play with it. But Galvin covering across was nice. Third tackle here for the Storm at the 25 on third tackle. Is Critter back? No, Critter's potentially gone for the season, Olivia. Syndesmosis injury. We don't know if it's minor or if it's severe, but he's been ruled out for the rest of this game. Nick Meaney gets away from a tackle. He's still rolling out to the left-hand side here, and he will. Good run to the 40. Fourth tackle. And now Storm, Harry Grant gives it off to Lesati. And, high tackle. High tackle from Tupanua. No? High tackle, referee. The whole crowd's booing. How on earth was that not a high tackle? You clearly saw his arm around his whole neck just then. That's a tricky grab here, but Con Tracy grabs at the 5. How on earth was that not a high tackle call? Davis says, Warriors beat Penrith tomorrow. Will be upset of the season. I get a bit of a gut feeling about it, but we'll be live for it, man. We'll talk all about that tomorrow. Good rush-up defense here from the Storm and the Dogs. 20 metres out, second tackle. Can't believe that wasn't called a high tackle just then. And Jethro Rinakama to the 25 on third tackle. This is a huge 29 minutes, man. This is a huge 29 minutes because just in case Stephen Crichton is only down for 2 weeks, that would mean that he'd be back for the grand final, but he would be out of next week in the prelim. So you need to win this game, Dogs, so that you only have to play maybe one game without him, if the reports are right. So the Dogs now at the 40, and Matt Burton will kick that ball to about the 10. They let it bounce. That was weird. And Warbrick now at the 5. Jeez, the Melbourne at the back today have been really worrying. And there's a penalty to the Storm. You just let them get away with it, Bulldogs. You just let them get away with it. And back chat penalty, 10 metres. Kurt Mann gives away a back chat, gives away the penalty and then an extra 10 metres. So they go from the 10 to the 20 and also get the penalty. Dasmane says, the Wars knock out a team that's won 4 straight premierships. We'll never hear the end of it. Yeah, but you'll never hear the end of it if Penrith win as well. Like, ultimately, they've won 4 premierships in a row. If they win 5, like, we'll never hear the end of the 4 years in a row anyway, but I'd rather see the Warriors fans happy, dude. I want to see the Warriors have their moment. And it'll be a big moment. It's their grand final tomorrow for me, the Warriors. I think their fans will think they win the comp if they win tomorrow, but I've got that as their grand final, and then I think they go out and lose to the loser of this game next week regardless. To be fair, I have the loser of this game beating probably either of those teams next week. Storming out to 45. Monkey Muay Thai, that hurts. Had them in their own 10, exactly. And now it's second tackle, and they're at the Xavier Coates. Great run to the 38, third tackle. Lagan says, gee, must hate the Dogs because how can you penalise kick-out for back-chatting when he can barely speak English? Well, you hate your own team. Where's the slander for William kick-out's crazy. The Storm, Harry Grant gives it to Munster. Munster at the back here. Here's a chance. Trying to pass it. And they give it off again. Oh, Warbrick. He's dropped it. It's gone backwards, they've said. He's at the 20. And that'll be fit tackle. It was dubious, but I think it's okay. It's very difficult to call that forward or not, but he's gone with it, gone backwards. And now they kick it up here. Pezzett, Nick Meaney coming through. Rinakama catches it, but he goes in the in goal. First dropout. Oh, he's gone down in ground, touched the goal line, so it will be a dropout. First dropout of the game. Kickout speaks better English than Lagan for sure, Brenton says. David's Penrith trying to break the Dragons' record. It's not happening. They're not breaking 11 premierships in a row, bro. Come on. 4 premierships is incredible. 4 premierships is equivalent, in my opinion. Honestly, 4 premierships is the equivalent in modern history. I'm gonna put that on so it looks a little bit better, a bit more lighting. All right, 27 minutes to go here of the game. First game of the finals, and it's going to be Storm. First knock on Dogs, so at the 15. So a double knock on, but first off the Dogs, so it'll be Storm ball at 15. Don't challenge it, Kuraz. Don't challenge it, bro. Don't challenge it, bro. Don't challenge it. This isn't the time for a challenge and such a risky one like that. Lagan says, Newcastle locals don't show the best English skills. Yeah. It would have been tough. I think that not challenging that's probably the right call. Last time we lost a qualifying final was 2004, so losing might not be as bad. Stop it, Daz. Don't do this. Don't do this. Come on. Please. 52 minutes in, we've got a dropout. Yeah, exactly. Storm now right-hand side. Munster's got space. They've got space. They've got space. Nick Meaney taking out the 10. First tackle. Just caught him there, Matty Burton. And, close with 6 again, but Munster gives it across here. Left-hand side of Jonah Pezzett. And now Trent Loiero. He'll be about 12, 13 metres out. Good defence from the Dogs. They bring it back to the 15. Second tackle. They roll it back here to Harry Grant. Oh, no, Adam G. Come on, man. Oh, they're going to say he spun to the side. I don't know what just happened there from Adam G. So Munster, he'll go to the left and he'll be 13 metres away. Can't get the offload away. Third tackle. I would not be surprised if the Storm went for a 2 if they did go to penalty, mind you. Lisati nearly gets through. 3 metres out, fourth tackle. Fourth tackle, 3 metres out. Harry Grant to Munster. Munster at the 10. He gets it out the back. Great into the line here. Pezzett, short ball into the line. Wrong play. They had the numbers at the back. Elias Katoa he tried to get him through, but wrong play for mine. Harry Grant gets it across into Munster. Munster with a little dink underneath. It's going to be a dropout. Why are they not kicking the ball out there to Xavier Coates? I like it because they get a dropout here and they get a set restart provided they get the ball back, but we haven't seen them really go to Xavier Coates' side at all today in regards to the air. We haven't seen them really go to the air for Xavier Coates at all. Only one time, it was a poor kick from Pezzett and it was on a break play. There's not really been a set-up kick there for Xavier Coates. For him to do something, that's good. Short dropout. Dogs will catch it. Jacob Kiraz gets it at the 10. So Dogs ball here, first tackle, 11 metres out, and now they give it off to Anari Tuala, and Tuala nearly gets through. He'll be the 22nd tackle. Hadil getting around the Bulldogs, so second tackle now at the 22, and Galvin gives it across here to Harry Hayes, and Hayes will be at the 30 on third tackle. Good work there from Jacob Kiraz to get a great short dropout from Matt Burton. Jamin Salmon and Toby Sexton, Villemi kick out, good rush up defense from Meaney, but he gets the offload away to Connor Tracy, and they've got Matt Burton here. Oh, should have tried to... No, I don't know. Probably the right decision to step in. So 40 metres out, fourth tackle. Josh Curran. At least we've got a fantastic game here to start off the finals. Fantastic game. 2 points in at 24 minutes left. It's a penalty to the Bulldogs. On fifth tackle too is insane work, Trent Loiero. You are such an ill-disciplined player. You are such an ill-disciplined player, Trent Loiero. It's great you play Origin, but you give away some really bad penalties and some really bad times. What are they actually calling there, though? David says, does anyone remember Coach try against the Warriors last year? Sure, but why are we bringing that up? Jaden says, at the end of the day, if you were to bring the Dragons team that won 11 in a row to this day and age using a time machine and put them versus Penrith, Penrith would flog them. That's great, but it's very difficult to compare eras, and I will say that if you gave the Dragons the same kind of conditioning as if you gave the Dragons the same kind of conditioning at that time as the conditioning that the players now get, then I'm sure it would have been, even more impressive for the Dragons, right? So it's very difficult to address the comparison of eras. All right, so Dogs now 13 metres away here from the line. Bailey Hayward, he'll give it off to Salmon, and then Dogs are going to be 8 metres out, third tackle. Here's a chance for the Dogs to take the lead. Bailey Hayward, he'll go to Lachlan Galvin. Lachlan Galvin in the line. There's a player in back play down for the Dogs. I think it's Anari Tuala. Fourth tackle. God bless him, dude. He's grabbing his left knee. You don't like to see that. God bless him, man. Bailey Hayward to Lachlan Galvin. Galvin now to Jamie Salmon. Salmon at the back here to Toby Sexton. Sexton to Viliami kick out. Good head of steam. Matty Burton. Try time for the Dogs. They take the lead. Try time for the Dogs. They take the lead. Matty Burton breaks through. And 16-14 Bulldogs with a kick to come and 22 minutes left. Back in the day, players worked after football. Yeah, agree, Sean. That's why it's impossible to compare eras. But, throws a dummy here. Burton goes himself. William a kick out great into the line. And then it was just basically one-on-one because Will Warbrick stays in his wing thinking the pass was coming from Jethro Renakama. But Matt Burton decides to run it, gets past Grant Anderson, and Burton does score. So, 2-point game. Difficult kick here from the left-hand sideline. But what a game of finals we got here. Monkey Muay Thai, get it on the Dogs. Jarrett Farmoni says, Bird to the rescue. Infinite Quiz says, woof, woof, baby. Which says, what a way to start the final series. Much better than Panthers Roosters last year. I can't even remember what that game was. I can't even remember. But the only good game from the finals last year for mine was Bulldogs Manly. Some just don't look like grand finals this year. Like, sure, but I guess it also does come to the fact that they have no Pappenhausen and Jerome Hughes. I think that I'm not trying to excuse them by any stretch of the imagination, but that's a great play from Matt Burton. Great play. And for him to hold onto that ball with Warbrick trying to make that tackle around the ball, like, that was really strong there from Burto. Like, would you say that if Jerome Hughes and Pappenhausen were playing this game and they were looking like this, and sure, but the thing is Jerome Hughes doesn't come back, so this is their team, and I don't know how long Pappenhausen's out for. So at the end of the day, this is their team. And Nari Tuala has come off here. 20 minutes to go of the game, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Only 2 points in at Matt Burton here from the left-hand wing. He was grabbing at his left knee, Nari Tuala. You hate to see that. God bless him, dude. You hate to see that. All right, so Matt Burton. Do they potentially... Oh, by the way, whenever Burton plays centre, he usually scores, so there's your try. Matt Burton from the left wing. Blake Wilson might go on. How? He's the 18th man. It wasn't a dangerous foul play, so and they haven't had enough HIAs to bring him in. All right, Burton from the left wing. Can he make it a 4-point game? He will make it a 4-point game. 18-14 into the Dogs with 20 minutes to go. 20 minutes to go here. The Dogs lead 18-14. Can you get a woof woof in the chat for the Dogs? If you're a Dogs fan, get a woof woof going. When was the last time the Dogs won a finals game? Was it 2014? Or was it 2015 maybe? When was the last time the Dogs won a finals game? Do you think this should be their lineup going forward if Critter out? Yeah. Why would you change the winning formula? At the end of the day, for the majority of this game, you've had to play with this lineup, so you would go with a winning formula. Rugby says, who do you think is going to win, Broncos or Raiders? We'll talk about that more on Sunday, but I do think the Raiders down there in Canberra get it. So Lachlan Galvin here at the 5, and now Max King brings his ball out here to the 15. 2015 versus Dragons. Thank you, Daz. First tackle at 20. Matt Burton is better than Darren Lockyer, just stating facts. He's more icy. Yeah, that's not true. Second tackle now for the Dogs at the 24. Dogs, how many players out to get 18th man activated? Well, you could have 100 players out and the 18th man doesn't get activated. It's only if there's foul play that leaves a player go out for the game, or if there's 3 unsuccessful HIAs, and the Dogs have only had 1 unsuccessful HIA, and there was no foul play for the players being going out. So Blake Wilson can't come on. So the Dogs now at the 50, and now the 45 on fit tackle. Olivia says, come on, Josh King. No, Olivia, don't do it to me. Seb Watson's getting a 5-minute timeout tomorrow during that Warriors-Panthers game if he doesn't score. But I have to apologise if Josh King does. If he wins the game for the Storm, I tell you, that's it. That's it. BKR Sports over. Been cancelled. David says, how you feeling about the Knights getting the spoon? Brother, why are we even speaking about that right now? Second tackle here at the 20. We spoke all about that last week. Xavier Coates now at the 30 on third tackle. 19 minutes to go here in the game. Harry Grant with a great quick play the ball onto Tyron Wishart, who's at the 40 on fourth tackle. Should be a 24 hour time. No, I'm not going to do that to him during the finals. That'd be brutal. 24 hour timeouts, crazy stuff. Fifth tackle now at the 48. And they roll it back to Harry Grant, Jonah Pezzett, and Pezzett now will put that one up there. It's a catchable one here for the Storm. It's a knock-on from the Dogs. The Storm are going to pick this ball up here, and Munster's going to be 10 metres out from the line. Here's the Storm, 0 tackle. What? No Canterbury hand here, they say. So they're going to challenge this here, the Storm. This has to be off a Dog's hand. This has to be off a Dog's hand, surely. This has to be off a Dog's hand, surely. So the Storm are going to challenge this. But fair no. Only because he's English, Brenton. Only because he's English. If the Dogs do touch this first, yeah, clear. This is a knock-on from the Dogs. So this is bullshit, MG. It's going to come off Renakama here. It's off Renakama. It's off Renakama. No matter what, this is Dogs ball. Storm ball. What are we doing? Touch Grant Anderson ball, hand at the 21. If you want to say it's a knock on both ways, it's definitely Storm ball here. It's clearly clearly Dogs touching this ball here first. And if Grant Anderson then touches it, it's a knock-on. Yeah, Jethro. Yeah, no shit. Like, that was very obvious from the start. So, Adam G, you've just ruined and completely destroyed a Storm attack here from a very basic call that was very obvious that the Dogs knocked this ball on. The Storm immediately challenged. They get the successful call. Adam G calling that as not touched by the Dogs at all is incredible, because otherwise it's a knock-on against the Storm. What on earth? If the Dogs don't touch that, it's a knock-on Storm, so why did you play it out and say that it was fit tackle for the Storm? Dogs didn't touch it, went backwards, when it clearly goes forward from a Storm play if he's the only one who touches it. So straight up, that's just a straight up knock on, not a fit tackle switch over to play on. But also, to say the Dogs didn't even touch it is incredible. That's wild from Adam G. And then it's completely ruined the attack of the Storm. So 15 minutes out, first tackle, 8.5 minutes to go. The call doesn't make sense. The call doesn't make sense. Because if you didn't think the Dogs play touched it was a clear knock on from the Storm. But that's not what he called. So Trent Loiero here, second tackle, and they're back at the 20. Good defense from the Dogs. That's just odd. That's an odd decision. Out to Meaney. Meaney short into the line to Jack Howarth, and Howarth will be at the 15. Howarth will roll back to Harry Grant, off to Cameron Munster. Munster steps, he'll give it across here to Loiero, and Loiero just crunched by Hayward. Crunched by Hayward. Tyron Wishart at the back here. Elias Katoa, he'll run it in himself. He'll be 8 minutes out. This is good defense from the Dogs right now. Fit tackle. Harry Grant, they go short. Grant Anderson, what are the Storm doing? Why are you not kicking the ball to Xavier Coates? And now Grant Anderson is injured. I don't understand the Storm on attack here today. You have a good play on the left-hand side. They're never kicking the ball to Xavier Coates. Grant Anderson, God bless him, is grabbing at his right shin right now. Why are they never kicking the ball to Xavier Coates? It's been a cheat code all season long. They haven't kicked it to him once. Well, they kicked it to him once on a broken play. Macca's times travel from jumped in to Colanta. Or there might be a penalty here against the Dogs. He's come down on the leg there. Oh! It is an accident, though. That is an accident. Oh, dude. It goes directly down his leg. That would hurt. But it was an accident. I think Kirat's aura scared the living shirt of Coates. Well, it's not Coates. He's obviously asking for the ball. The Storm, it's just not kicking it out that left-hand side. Nothing here. Boring plays gap. Looking for someone to watch this game. Jomptian and Colanta. Where is that, Macca's time? Where is that? I'd be offended if I was Adam G. His co-workers clearly don't trust his word. Well, he was the best referee in the game, and then it's just blown out this year. Third tackle of the Dogs. This is a great set here from Canterbury. You get this ball to the 33. Winwright, not with the whistle. Dogs now with the ball at the 40 on fourth tackle. Fourth tackle. First shit call of the final. Sean, well, it's not even that it was a shit call, but it was just an odd call that made no sense either way. It didn't make any sense. Again, if the Storm were the only ones who touched it, it was a knock-on, but he played it through and said, oh, that's out in the full. That's out in the full from the Dogs. Oh, no. Oh, no. The Bulldogs, can you believe it? Toby Sexton's kicked the ball out in the full from the halfway point. The Storm will go back on the attack. Can you believe it? Oh, Krabi, Macca's style. Good stuff in Thailand. There's nowhere to watch it in Thailand. Thailand had heaps of places for rugby league when I was there, but I didn't go to Krabi. That's a really bad kick there from Tobes. Now the Storm and Stefano Wutukamanu trying to get the offload. He does get the offload, but it hits the grass, and that's not good. They've lost about 10 metres there because of that offload. That's not good. And Nari Tuata is ruled out with a calf injury. 16 minutes to go here the game. We could be looking at extra time here, lads. But then again, if the Storm convert a try, they can win the game. They're only down by 4. Is Pups injured? Yes, Brenton. So, second tackling out the 45. Harry Grant, Tyron Wishart. And Wishart now will be at the 38 on third tackle. Tackling opposition 20 in the second half. Storm 13. Dogs 6 at the back here to Munster. Munster at the back here to Meaney. Meaney goes in himself. He'll be 25 metres away. Fourth tackle. 16 minutes to go here of the game. Harry Grant to Munster. Munster at the back now to Loiero. Loiero gives it across here. Pays it into the line. Elias Katoa. And he will push away from a couple. And now he's going to shift it out to the left and run it in himself to the 13. Fit tackle. Yeah, it's a great game, Theros. It's a great game. Harry Grant to Pezzett. Here we go. Surely. They kick it through with a grubber to Meany. It's going to be a dropout. Why are they not kicking it to Coates? And now G's going to say, oh, there might be a high contact. There's a swinging arm for the ball. Hopefully there's not high contact. G's checking that there's no high contact. Oh, well, he has been taken out there. It's not a penalty try by any means, and I wouldn't even say a professional foul, but to be fair, he has been taken out. That's a penalty for mine. And I'd take the penalty. You wouldn't take the 2, but I'd take the penalty because you get the ball back at the 10. But they're not. I don't think they're going to give it. Doesn't mean he's gone for the ball. No way. They've both come into contact with him. All competing is crazy for mine. Connor Tracy. Oh, Galvin's clearly taken him out from behind. Harry's definitely got a case there. Yeah, the commentary's saying the same thing. That should have been a penalty for mine. I don't think there's enough in it. Like, you could argue professional foul, but I don't think there's a try there. There's definitely no penalty try. But Lachlan Galvin's had his arm out there, and he's fallen over, which has impacted Nick Meany, and now Meany's going to come off with a HIA here, because it's accidental in regards to the head contact. But Lachlan Galvin should have been penalised for that. And that's crazy. No penalty for that either. It's just competing for the ball. I just don't think Lachlan Galvin's competing for the ball there. He's already going down. He's impacted the play beforehand. Storm knock it back. Dogs hit the ball. Josh King. Don't let this man score. He'll be at 20 now. First tackle. Either way, Storm have the ball 15 metres out. So the same thing would have come from a penalty. So Josh King. Harry Grant. Left-hand side to Tyron Wishart. Then off to Utuakamanu with a strong run to the 9. 9 metres out. And 6 again here for Melbourne. Harry Grant, he'll go to the right to Munster. Munster steps it in himself. And he will get an offload to Pezzett. Pezzett goes. He'll be 8 metres out. And that's close to a penalty against William Kickout. They're not going to call it. They're going to call 6 again. They go to the left to Tyron Wishart. Wishart then to Loyero and Curran with a good rush-up tackle. 13 metres out. Dogs and Storm fans, your heart is in your mouth right now. Harry Grant to Utukamanu. Utukamanu gets his ball to the 5 and just shoves off of Josh Curran. Harry Grant, Tyron Wishart with a try. Oh, they're going to take the lead, the Storm. They're going to take the lead. What a fucking game we've got here, lads. 18-18 with a kid to come. The offload there has killed the Dogs. The offload has just really crushed the Dogs, and the Storm right underneath the post are going to score. It's going to be a 20-18 game. You think he drops it? Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. We will see. Utuakamanu there. What a strong run. Just absolutely pumps off Curran. They get it back to Harry Grant. Harry Grant to Wishart. And I don't think he drops that, lads. I don't think he drops this. I think the ball rolls on the ground. And no, he's definitely scored that, lads. There's no knock on at all. There's no knock on at all. I don't know where you saw that was a knock on. Daz mate says dropped it, pipe down. Mate, it's pretty clearly not a knock on. He's held that ball the entire time. There was not even a release at any point. So try confirmed, 18-18 with the kick to come from right in front. Like it's the game of the year. No, we've had plenty of good games of the year. You know, Panthers versus Storm is up there. Raiders versus Panthers is up there. Like you would add a lot of games. Like this will be in the top games, but like I would say Raiders Panthers was incredible. And again, Panthers Storm was incredible. This is good on the hype of the game and for the fact it's in finals, but based off of the feeling that we got from a regular season matchup, like there's still 14 minutes to 13 minutes to go here. If we see a miraculous plays that wins the game for a team, then sure. But right this very second, let's see how this game plays out first and finishes up. Potentially go on point, sure, but the Storm will take a lead here at 20-18, but we are very close. Can someone shove that megaphone up that guy's ass? Daz, mate, it's the most annoying siren sound I've ever heard. Oh, I'm not reading back as time's comments out. You guys can deal with that yourselves. So it is 20-18 in the Storm with 13 minutes to go in the game. Oh, shut your stupid siren up. Can we please ban Amy Park from the NRL? Can we please get whoever this idiot is with this stupid siren sound out of Amy Park? It is the dumbest sound in the history of rugby league. It's only second to the Vuvuzela of South Africa 2010. That sound comes in every Melbourne game. Does it? This is the first time I've heard it. Oh, I'm not sure. I just haven't heard it before. I haven't acknowledged it before, but I'm definitely hearing it now, and it's making me want to headbutt my own buddy head. Literally just headbutt my own head. Wisher gives it off to Utukamanu, and he'll be at the 15 now, first tackle. Taking the Mexicans a long time to score. Well, they are up 20 to 18, the Storm, and Jack Howarth, he'll get this ball to the 20 on second tackle. Storm scored, then Dogs, then Storm, then Dogs, then Storm. Oh, and Howarth is complaining about a crusher here. He's complaining about a crusher. This guy needs to take lessons from you, Blaze, on how to rally a team and not sound like a dick. Who? What? Where? What have I done? What? Who are we talking about? So third... Oh, the siren dude. Is that what you're talking about? So third tackler at the 25. And that was fine, by the way. There was no penalty. Harry Grant to Josh King. Don't let him score. He'll be at the 35, fourth tackle. 12 minutes to go here of the game, and Harry Grant goes to the left to Munster. And Munster now to the 45 on fifth tackle. T.I. says, bullshit game. Why is it a bullshit game? It's a great game. Why is it a bullshit game? Munster back to Harry Grant. And Jonah Pezzett, he will kick this ball down to the corner. I understand you're a Dogs fan, but what's your complaint about the game? And Colin Tracy will bring this ball out here to the 15. And good work there from the Storm to keep him down there. Rick Ozzy says that he has multiple scores, mate. I know him as scorers, mate. I know him as he seats behind us. Seriously, don't talk like that. Well, no, we will joke around like that. That is what we are going to do here, man. So you're going to have to grow up here, and you're going to have to enjoy the entertainment of it, because at the end of the day, if you don't like it, that's your problem. That's not my problem. So, no, it's not insulting the person himself. It's not insulting the character of the person. I don't know him, and I don't care about it. But at the end of the day, we are going to take the piss out of it, and we're going to say it's the most annoying fucking sound I've ever heard in my life. So, no, we are going to talk like that, Rick Ozzy, and people's opinions you are entitled to your opinion. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, you are entitled to your opinion. And that should be a very, very clear and cold-hearted fact after what we've seen over the last couple of days. So no, whether you agree or disagree with the opinion, you're going to sit back and you're going to understand that people don't have the same opinion as you, and that is okay. 10 minutes to go here of the game. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. There's nothing wrong with the person himself, but I will insult the annoying sound from the siren. So right-hand side, it's going to be Elias Katoa, and he'll be at the 35. Brenton says we're not insulting the person, Rick. Yeah, it's really just as simple as that. You know, it's just such a stupid comment. It's such a stupid comment from someone who clearly isn't reading the room. Fourth tackle here at the 43. Harry Grant to Cameron Munster, and Munster now will get this ball to the 45 on fifth tackle. 10 minutes to go here of the game, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Dasmat says, hey, Rick, I'll kindly advise you... The Storm will kick this ball up to the 20, and Dogs good grab there at the 20, and now be first tackle. 10 minutes to go. Gerard says, I ain't a fan of either two fans, but it should be 18-18 all, to be fair, to be honest. Sure, but they do usually call that as a high tackle. The only thing that prevented it from being directly across the chin was the fact that Josh King did have his arm up that prevented that from happening, but I do understand the potential criticism for it. Connor Tracy here at the 33. And they give it off here to Jacob Preston, and Preston's now going to be... Rick says, hey, fuck you in a nice way. You know what? Fair enough, mate. That's your opinion. Fourth tackle here at the 42. But I hope you do understand what we were saying. Because, again, not an insult on anyone's character, but it is an annoying sound. Fifth tackle here at the 50. Max King gives it off here to Bailey Hayward. And then Toby Sexton's going to kick this ball into the corner. And now they'll be at the 10. And Will Warbrick, still worried about him with the ball. Sean James says, you pay to watch a game, not to watch fights. Oh, no. Will Warbrick's claiming, I think, a high tackle here. They are claiming a lot, the Storm. They are trying to milk a few. I don't know what this call will be. I didn't think it was high originally, but he's been told to play it. Wait, Will? No, he's going to be just play. Oh, dude, it's a milk and a half from Warbrick. There was no near high tackle at all. There was no near high tackle. Well, Warbrick was just really milking that. And it's good to see the referee isn't biting into the Storm milking crushes and high tackles at the moment. Left-hand side to Jack Howarth, and Howarth will get this ball to the 40 on fourth tackle. They go out to the left-hand side, off to Tukamanu, who gets an offload away to Wishart, and Wishart will now be 47 metres away, fifth tackle. Fifth tackle. He grabbed the wrong part of his head. Eric's a Storm versus refs. Well, arguably, Eric, they did get a controversial penalty that I will say most of the time gets called as a penalty, but it is still a controversial penalty in regards to the high tackle that is the reason why the Storm are leading by 2. 8 minutes to go here of the game. First tackle for the Dogs, and now they'll get this ball to the 20 through Jethro Rinakama. Second tackle. Lagan says Adam G has had a 2023 performance. There's been a few odd decisions from him today, but I don't think the referee has impacted the result unless people are so desperate to try and claim that wasn't a 2-point penalty. Like, again, I'd listen to the argument of it, but I do think they call that more often than not. 4 tackle here for the Dogs at the 40. So, and the only real criticism I had for Adam G was that really strange call that made no sense regarding the no touch from the Dogs and Storm fit tackle kind of deal. So Dogs will kick that ball on fit tackle down to the 15. And it will be Nick Meany. No, Munster. Is Munster playing fullback right now? Is Munster in the fullback? They've switched him back there. First tackle, 7.5 minutes to go here in the game. They give it to Will Warbrick, and Warbrick gets his ball to the 35, then to the 40 on second tackle. Jim Master, did you see my super chat earlier? Yeah, Jim Master. Yeah, like the early one? Or are you talking about like recently? If you're talking about recently, no, I must have missed it. But if you're talking about like the beginning of the game, yeah, appreciate you, Jim Master, for the support. So third tackle, and it'll be Elias Katoa, and he'll get this ball to the 40 on fourth tackle. Mr. Nitrick says, who gives a shit the Dogs are going to win this game? Well, Storm here, left-hand side. Wishart gives it off to Howarth, then off to Pezzett. Josh King now. No, don't let him score. Fifth tackle at the 35. You've made me not want to see him with the ball today, Seb Watson. How dare you? Xavier Coates, the first kick goes up to him. And he can't get through. I got to be honest with you, though. The Dogs have clearly taken him out of the play there by running through. Not as severe as Tony Staggs, but you can very clearly see what teams are doing now to Xavier Coates to prevent him from getting to the ball. Viliami kick out now, second tackle at 35. Dasman says, Kirad's better than Coates. Well, Coates didn't have a chance to get to the ball because there was a player in his way. So the Dogs at the 40. Toby Sexton to Galvin. Galvin gives it across here to Tupanua. Tupanua to the 50. This is a good set here for the Dogs. They are in a bit of last chance right now, though. Four tackle. But again, guys, reminder, whoever loses this game is not done for the season. They play the winner of the Warriors-Panthers tomorrow next week. Left-hand side, Matt Burton. And Burton now at the 45 on fourth tackle. If the Dogs find a way to win this game, you could argue best game of the season. If they do find a way to win this game in the last couple of minutes. They go out to the right. Jacob Preston. Preston gives it off here to Kiraz. Kiraz at the 25. He's 20 metres out. Connor Tracy. He'll get it across here to Jamin Salmon. They get it across here to Kurt Mann. Kurt Mann at the 25. He's going to kick this ball through. No, Kurt Mann not on fourth tackle. No, Kurt Mann not on fourth tackle. No, Kurt Mann. Will Warbrick's away. Will Warbrick's away here at the 10, the 15. He's at the 20. That's a great run from Will Warbrick. Kurt Mann, no, bro. He's been great defensively today, Kurt Mann, but on attack, he's made a few mistakes. And now Xavier Coates gets through to the 30. That was a bad kick, dude, on fourth tackle. They were in a great opportunity. Oh, it's an awful kick. They get this ball across now to Elias Katoa, then to Grant Anderson. He'll be at the 38 on third tackle. Close to a knock on there, but it's fine because he kept it in his body. Elias Katoa gets it to Alec McDonald to the 45 on fourth tackle. Yeah, kick wasn't needed there, Monkey Muay Thai, 100%. Munster at the 40. Oh, jeez. Oh, no, he's grabbing his ankle. No, you don't like this. No, he's in excruciating pain, Munster. Oh, no. God bless him. No, this is bad for the Storm, dude. This is bad for the Storm. You might be going through the preliminary final, Melbourne. You may go through the preliminary final, but if this is as bad as it looks, oh my gosh, dude. This could be the season for Munster. Oh, dude, this could be the season for Munster, dude. Oh, that's an ouch, man. That is an ouch. God bless him. If this is serious, which he is standing right now. No, it's accidental, Daz, mate. There's nothing wrong with the tackle. It's accidental, but I think he's okay. Oh, what a warrior, dude. He is limping pretty heavily right now. 5 minutes to go of the game. If I'm a Dogs, I'm targeting him on defense. At least it's not as bad as we Yeah, Munster's not happy with the tackle, but I thought it was okay. All right, so Jonah Peasant's going to kick this ball up, 43. Great to see that Munster's not severely injured from that. Good take from the Dogs. Jethro Rinakama at the 25, first tackle. Monkey Muay Thai says, no, if they lose Munster and Hughes back-to-back weeks, yeah, that'd be crazy, especially considering they would have to use the rest of the finals, the last 2 games, because if they win this game, then they would only have 2 games to go, but they would have to be with Jonah Peasant and Tyron Wishart, which, you know, is not awful, but they would be without Jerome Hughes, Munster, Papenhuyzen. They'd really have to rely on Harry Grant, right-hand side here for the Dogs, right-hand side for the Dogs are at the 30, and Jacob Preston's 4th tackle now. If they get a penalty, you take the 2 every single day of the week. They give it to Bailey Hayward, then to Lachlan Galvin. Lachlan Galvin at the back of Kurt Mann. Mann broke down the play there, not great, but then he passes it back to the right-hand side of Tupanua. Tupanua hit the 20. He'll be taken down 18 metres out from the line. 5th tackle, 3 minutes and 47 seconds to go here of the game. Down by 2. Bailey Hayward off to Kurt Mann. Mann to Toby Sexton. Toby Sexton, short ball to Viliami kick out. Oh, it's 5th tackle, lads. They throw the ball over the top and the Storm are away. Will Warbrick, and that's it. The Storm are into the preliminary final, lads. The Storm are into the preliminary final with an intercept from Will Warbrick, and that, my friends, is going to be the game. The Storm are going to win by 8 points. Look away, Dogs fans. Unfortunately, it's not going to be your night tonight, and you will be playing next week against the winner of the Warriors versus the Panthers. You will be at a core stadium, but unfortunately, Dogs fans, your heart has been broken as Will Warbrick has intercepted the ball and run 80 metres to score a try underneath the post. Kick out hand of Warbrick a try. I agree, Monkey Muay Thai. They ran into the line there on 5th tackle. Kick out throws a really silly pass. It's very lofty, up in the air. Anyone with a brain on the defense is going to be able to pick that one off there, break away, and Will Warbrick does that and scores and makes up for those 2 knock-ons over in the game. And look how happy Craig Bellamy is. Wow-wee. Sean James is 80 metres. 80 metres, Sean, yeah. 80 metres. Scott says 20% BKR Storm made the grand final. Hey, I hope so, Scotty. Hope so. Looking forward to it. But they still got to get through either the Raiders, Broncos, Sharks, or Roosters. Yeah. Yes, that would be it. The Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders, Broncos, Sharks, or Roosters who the Storm will play in the 3rd week of the finals. Jared Farman says, you hate to see it, but Melbourne just know how to survive in these finals games. They just do, Jared. They just do. They just do, man. There's still 2 minutes for you to go here, Dogs fans, but you're going to need 8 points. Villy's been so good today, but unfortunately that is an absolute crusher, man. That is an absolute crusher of the heart. But what a fantastic game this has been. Eric says Storm versus the world and still winning. Well, I tipped yous. I tipped the Storm here, Eric. I tipped the Storm. How about this purple and pink shirts in the grand final? Well, they're not there yet. They're still at the preliminary final against the Raiders, the Broncos, the Roosters, or the Sharks. But they're only 1 week away from the grand final now, provided this score holds out, which you would assume with only 2 minutes to go, and the Storm will be up by 2 scores. Vasma says, damn, the Dogs were a chance. Well, they were. They were only down by 2 points here, and they were 20 metres out. You know, the biggest issue was Kurt Mann kicking that ball on 4th tackle. They'd gotten into the attack in 20. This was a couple of sets ago, maybe the last set of the Dogs. But they'd gotten into the attack in 20, and Kurt Mann has made a couple of mistakes today on attack, but great in defense, decided to kick the ball on 4th tackle. A big issue for the Dogs as well is that early on in the game, they were doing something really strange, and they were kicking the ball on 4th tackle every single set, which didn't make a whole deal of sense at all. It really didn't. It made no sense whatsoever. But that's what they were doing, and I really just disagree with their decision making there. I disagree with it. T.I. says, what a joke of a game. Screw this ref. The ref isn't the reason for you losing this game, mate. The ref isn't the reason for you losing this game. I know you're not going to listen to me now because you're emotional, and I understand that. I understand that because I'd be the same in your position, but the ref didn't lose you this game. Olivia says, here goes the siren again. Yeah, screw that damn well siren. Rick Ozzie, screw your siren, mate. How about that? Oh, Storm nearly make a mistake there off the kick. Screw your siren, mate. You stupid siren. She is stupid damn well siren. I'm surprised that you didn't have a bit of a joke with it and just insult me for my drums for 15 years. Like, that was an easy layup for you, man. I laid you up there for an insult of my drums at games. And instead, you took the other route. TI23 says, free 2 points at the start. Sure, but you didn't lose this game based on the ref. Elias, and again, that is a call that can go both ways. Good thing they won by 6 points then. Well, Casey's at, 6 points if you remove the 2. But the whole game has changed, but yeah. Mr. Nitrick says, okay, so the Dogs have lost, but you have won. First time here and love your work. Congrats, I'll be back. Appreciate you, Mr. Nitrick. We're here for every single game live of the rugby league season. We've been here through all 27 rounds, and we've got the finals. We'll be here live for both games tomorrow, and then the Sunday game between the Raiders and Broncos. Bulldogs here at their own 5. They've got to chance the Army crazy and then not take the kick. And if you are a Warriors fan, like in that Manly game, if you get within range to take the 2, you take the 2 Muppets. Con Tracy here. Right-hand side to Jacob Kiraz at the 25. Quiz says, mate, refs just don't want us. No, again, not the refs' fault. I'm not going to entertain the rest of the comments. Sorry, bro. You know, you've got next week. You've got it's a penalty here to the Dogs. Their own 22. Go for an 80-metre penalty. You've got next week against the winner of the Warriors and Panthers. Good luck with that one. I do believe the Dogs win that, provided they don't have too many injuries from this game, like Crichton and whatnot. But, that's not even going to go. Oh, it does go out. All right, so the Dogs' only chance to win here is to take a 2-point field goal and then not take the kick or then to convert try. No, it's over. 7 seconds to go. They can't do it. Well, yeah, from this play the ball, they have to take the 2, get it, and then receive the kickoff and score, convert try. Seb Watson says, story Dog season, choking when it matters. Seb Watson, I demand an apology right now, mate. Actually, well, no, you get timed out in the Warriors-Panthers game tomorrow. All right, back to Matt Burton, and he will just bomb that ball up into the air. This should be an easy one here for the Storm to grab. And welcome, Melbourne Storm. You are into the preliminary finals for 2025. Rick Ozzy with the $2 donation. Get around you, man. Good Bandit says, go Siren, go Storm, and stick it from Sicily, Italy, Dogs. Appreciate you for the support there, Rick, for the $2 donation. But Melbourne, you are in the preliminary final, and unfortunately, Dogs fans, you will have to go the long way. You will have to go the hard way. We'll hopefully see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow because when we stream live for the Warriors-Panthers, whoever wins that is who you will play next week at a core stadium in Sydney. You get the home game. You get the home game next week, but it does mean that you won't get the home game in the preliminary final against either the Raiders, against either the Raiders, the Broncos, the Roosters, or the Sharks is who you'd play in the preliminary final, provided you won next week against whoever it was between the Warriors and the Panthers. So you have to go the long way, but teams have done it before. Panthers did it in 2021, the Panthers lost the first round of the finals to the Rabbitohs. I called it, and then they went on to actually win that, which I called at the time. They lost the first week and then went on to win, and that was their first premiership in this 4 premiership stanza. So it can be done. It can be done. Lid Darkfire says the ref has been good. Sure, there's some stuff he could have called, but besides that, he's been good. I agree. Lid Darkfire, Bulldogs fans will complain about him, but ultimately, he wasn't the reason the Dogs lost this game, and I thought he was actually pretty good for the most part, Adam G. I think it's a 50-50 call that leans usually with the attacking team in the situation of that high tackle, which got the Storm the 2 points. But the only big criticism that I had for Adam G in this game was when, which ultimately didn't impact anything, was when he said that the Dogs didn't touch it, the Storm did touch it, and then it was just 5th tackle at the 20, but that made no sense because it was a Storm knock-on, which meant that it should have just been at the 30 where the ball was, but he let it play out for a potential try. But he said the Dogs didn't touch it at all when it was very clear the Dogs touched it. But if you're saying the Dogs didn't touch it, then it's definitely knock on. But if you're saying the Dogs did touch it, then it's the 6 again. And then ruined an attacking play for the Storm. So that was the only thing that I really was intrigued by with Adam G. That he made a very bizarre call that made no sense. But it didn't impact the game. And then it comes down to that 50-50 discussion regarding the high tackle. Jared Fatmoney says, you've done it. No 4 doggies. Use them for inspiration. There's that too. Scott says, I'll give Munster my ankle. Yeah, look, he looks okay. He looks like he's walking. So, at very least, he's going to get a week off, man. At very least, he's going to get a week off. Lagan says, Dogs really gave it their all, man. Confident that even with the loss onto either Wars or Panthers. I don't know how confident you can be that you're going to win the grand final right now, but I do think you should be confident about getting past the Warriors or the Panthers. I think you should be confident about beating either of those 2 teams next week. I don't know how you would go against the Raiders, and you have lost both games to the Broncos this year. So that'll be very interesting kind of how that one goes. You've lost both games to the Broncos. You came back on a 20-0 deficit to the Raiders. I do probably have the Raiders getting it done, but I'd like to see the Raiders against the Broncos on Sunday. The reason why I say you can't be too confident right now is because, again, this is another loss to top 8 opposition. Again, this is another loss to a big-time team. And yes, it came into the last 3 minutes of the game where the Storm were able to get an intercept and win this game by 8 points. Ultimately, the score is probably more reflective of a 2-point game, which the Storm would have had, provided the Dogs weren't forced to throw the risky pass there from Viliame Kikau. There's not much confidence I have the Dogs to go and win the competition, but I do have confidence that they beat whoever they play between the Warriors and Panthers next week. However, I have been saying for a long time now, the Dogs have been giving major vibes in the last 2.5, 3 months, that the Dogs are a potential Sharks of previous years of getting bounced out in straight sets. And the media's kind of clocked onto that, and some people have kind of clocked onto that too. I'm not speaking out of hatred like other people are doing it. I'm just speaking based off of what we watch every single week. So I'm a little bit nervous still on that. But I do think the Dogs gave it a good crack tonight. But there is some inconsistencies in their game. Kurt Mann made a few mistakes. They didn't punish Will Warbrick multiple times and Xavier Coates for those knock-ons. They should have done better in regards to punishing those players for the knock-ons in the wrong areas. Sean says, can you see my problem going for both teams? I'm the first to admit I'm a dickhead. Shit happens. No, Sean, you don't go for 2 teams. You go for 1 team. You are a Bulldogs fan, mate. You are a Bulldogs fan. Kay says, on your Storm, well-deserved win. Chris Brown says, you were so right. Ref had 50-50 calls that really favour the protected species Storm. And NRL doesn't want us doggies in a final after Galvin media blunder. I think that's a ridiculous statement. I think that if you want to complain about the high tackle call, all power to you, man. You're entitled to your opinion, especially in a 50-50 call like that. But I will say that to say that the NRL doesn't want the Dogs in the grand final is actually quite ludicrous. I think that'd be that's a ridiculous statement, because why would the NRL not want the Dogs in the grand final? Why? The Dogs will bring an incredible attendance. The Dogs will make such a loud noise. You can tell how loud the noise has been from the Dogs over this last year specifically, but the last 2 years. The Dogs making a grand final would be incredible branding for the NRL. It'd be incredible promotion across especially the Pacifica area, but it would also be incredible promotion for a place like Lebanon, where a lot of Lebanese family do get behind the Bulldogs over the history as well, because obviously Belmore, there's a lot of Lebanese in the area, and there is also a lot of countries in the world, where I look through my statistics, that have been getting into the NRL, and for them to see a different team in the grand final like the Bulldogs is absolutely advantageous to the product that is rugby league. So you're telling me that the NRL don't want you in a grand final when you would bring probably the best attendance, probably the best atmosphere, a great feel-good story from 4 years ago where you won the wooden spoon, and you're telling me that overall the NRL don't want the publicity from a Canterbury Bulldogs premiership. I think that's a ridiculous statement. And that's coming from someone who's not a Dogs fan. You know, I'm not a Dogs fan, but yet I have this thought process that if anyone's going to be there, the Dogs and Warriors would be the primetime grand final for the NRL and product promotion system. I don't think you're correct. I think you're talking emotionally right now. I don't think that the Dogs are not wanting to be in the grand final. I think it's the opposite. Sean James says, the Dogs lost. My cats and myself are having hotties. Great call, mate. Appreciate you, Sean. I'm going to jump off you for tonight, guys. Obviously, huge game, huge stream. I appreciate you all for tuning in as per usual. We'll be back tomorrow for the Warriors versus the Panthers in a knockout elimination final game. And then also, we will have a knockout elimination final game between the Sharks and the Roosters. Tomorrow is a massive day. 2 teams will be eliminated, and then we'll find out the 2 teams playing next week. And then on Sunday, we will have a double chance of game like tonight is, with the Raiders versus the Broncos. And if the Raiders win, obviously they go through. No, sorry. Whoever wins obviously goes through the 3rd week, and whoever loses goes through to play the winner. The winner of Sharks and Roosters. So I would actually really, and I said this before the final started, I'd love to see a Sharks versus Broncos finals. I would love to see it. I think it's a primetime matchup. I think that could be one of the best matchups for the finals. This was a great matchup tonight. I think we've got some belters tomorrow. And then on Sunday, it's going to be... did Jay get catched by the CCP? Actually, yeah, Jay wasn't here today. Jay was here at some point, wasn't he? Or was he? He didn't really get too heavily involved in the chat. I should actually check in on him. And message him. Yeah, that's odd unless he pops out of nowhere today. Yeah, he probably did get captured by the CCP, the old Jay Hayes. Probably did. But yeah, anyway, so we'll be seeing you guys tomorrow for 2 massive games. We'll go live an hour before. I think he was here earlier, Brenton. We'll go live an hour before the Warriors versus Panthers game. and then I'll go till 3, and then I'll go live an hour before the Sharks versus Roosters game as well, to really build it up and whatnot, and obviously get a great deal of a preview and then conversate about it. So we're going to be live tomorrow for a good probably a good 7.5 hours for the 2 games. So it's going to be a massive day. But obviously, guys, as usual, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. We're trying to hit 40,000 by the end of the year. I think it's a very viable goal. I think we are almost there, especially with finals and internationals. We've got a big final series coming on up. But like I said, thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya. Screw the siren guy, Rick boy.